I'm not turning the volume down. You can just experience this. I gotta turn the rest of my lights on. This is just like, by the way, do you like the shirt? This track is fucking peak. It's almost over, I promise. I'm just gonna sit here. Experience these what? So fucking good, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome back to the Rogue Room. I am your host, Abigail Beck, and tonight, yes, indeed, we are going to be discussing pronouns and a bunch of other nonsense. We got some world news. We got some other shit. You had VIP on Pinapee stream, apparently. There we go. I've got VIP badges. I should be handing those out. I've got some here. We are going to talk pronouns. I forgot to turn the rest of my lights on, so hold on. Welcome to the Rogue Room, folks. Welcome to the Rogue Room. I hope you're all doing absolutely splendid. I thank you all so kindly for being here. I don't know why I turned that light on. You can't see that it says the Rogue Room. I'm in my mum kit tonight. I look like a mum because I am one. So, friends, what's going on? How's your day been? My day's been eventful, sort of. My car decided it was going to nearly blow up, so that's great. That's awesome, that is. Don't say MILF, don't say MILF. Say it. Say MILF. Say it. Say it. You just woke up, Kiwi. Well, that's a start. Oh my god, look at how much of a vibe my room is. Is it not such a vibe? Look at this. Look at this. It's just amazing. I'm honestly tempted to ditch this light. There we go. There's like, okay, with the purple light on, with the purple light off. What do you think? MILF? Oh my goodness, you said it. What do we think about the difference there? I could just do this, which is boring, but you can see my Soulsborne stuff if I do that. How do we feel about magenta? That didn't actually change much. Soulsborne bad, you're bad. You're a bad person. How dare you disparage the best video game series on the planet? Also, you might have noticed, because I don't actually have a goal for my subs, I don't have any reason to have a major... Like, I've got my daily sub goal. I still want to hit, like, well, that should say 5, honestly. Oh, why is my stream labels gone? Hang on. That's not going to fucking update if I don't have stream labels open. Decided to get rid of the total sub goal because it was set to like 125 or whatever, and I realized, stop punching the microphone, you silly bitch. I realized I don't actually have a reason for having a total sub goal, so I got rid of that. Let me change the session sub goal to 5, because we might as well. Play a real game like Pong. Pong is an ultra-violent video game. It is the reason we have violent video games today, is Pong. Because it's that oppositional, antagonistic gameplay distilled down to its very core when you think about it. It's 1v1. Someone has to come out the winner. Anyway. Whole bunch of nonsense there. It's easy to cave into impulse when it's consented to. Fair point. We could do a bit of a discussion around about consent if you want. There's something. So we're back onto our normal streams tonight. Last night was a special, unique stream where we got to hang out with Pinapee, which was really cool. I really appreciated the opportunity to do that. She's so cool. She's so awesome. Honestly, I admire her aesthetic like nothing else. She is just a fashion queen. You think being the winner is always dependent on perspective. That's an interesting point there. How do I refer to you, Internet Phenomenon, by the way? Should I refer to you by IP? I don't know what to refer to you as. I've never thought to ask, but please, if you have a preferred nickname or anything of the sort, let me know. Look at this. I love this shirt. I love this shirt. I'm so glad. This was at Kmart. This was like $9 from Kmart. IP, that works. Yeah. And like, it fits so perfectly. What do we say around here, folks? What do I say all the time? I feel like, I hope some of you have picked up on it. The little slogan that I keep slinging about. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Without Pong, we wouldn't have gay marriage. Yeah, be kind to yourselves and each other. That's what I want to push as hard as possible. And honestly, I was actually thinking about a t-shirt with that on it. And I'm considering... Yes, we have Kmart. Is an interesting story. I think Kmart in Australia and Kmart in the US, I want to say the UK, used to be the same company, but they actually split up in the early 80s. And now I think Kmart in the US is either failing or has gone completely under, whereas in Australia it's one of our most prominent department stores. So Kmart here in Australia is a big thing. And they've got, all your usual homewares, electronics, clothing, toys, etc. It's good. It's well known. Yeah, I think it's totally dead in the States. It's either totally dead or it's about dead. It's like hanging on by a thread if there are any left. Oh, for God's sake, give me a second. Let me fix something. I've messed something up. Hang on. By changing that, there we... come on. Making these little overlay elements sync up properly is a pain in the entire arsehole. As an American, what's a Kmart? Think Walmart, basically, but like smaller scale. As far as I know, Walmart's the kind of store that has like everything. Kmart is kind of our version of that, but not anywhere near as big. From what I've heard of Walmart, you could do a full grocery shop there and buy an entire living room suite and a couple of guns while you're at it. Fuck it, why not? But Kmart here is much more like a much smaller scale, but anyways, yeah, I wanted to get Be Kind to Yourselves and Each Other on a t-shirt, and I wanted to start a ASMR. I wanted to start a Redbubble page because we had one before, but I didn't like it because it was attached to the old brand. So I want to start a new one, and I've got a few ideas. I wanted to bring back the offensively muscular transgender woman idea for a merch thing. I wanted to bring Be Kind to Yourselves and Each Other onto a t-shirt. I want to bring back... Who remembers Sex Fiend Death Cult? Where is it? I have it here somewhere. It's here somewhere. Let me find it. Who remembers Sex Fiend Death Cult? I definitely have it. Not games. Merch? I've got this one. Who remembers this one? You fucking died, you dickhead. That might go back on... Oh, hang on. Let me fix that really quickly, because that's not supposed to be on. Being kind is so easy. It's free. Let me just fix something, because that doesn't need to be there anymore. Pinapy's not here anymore. And it's not in the other scene. Okay, we're good. We're all sorted. Okay. Sex Fiend Death Cult was a thing that I said in one of my video essays. And I liked it so much that I tried to turn it into a bit of branding. But I never stuck with it. So there is a logo out there somewhere, but I don't know where it is. Is it in here? I don't know what it would have been listed under. Oh, shit. I can't find the logo. Let me try looking it up really quickly. Because... No, that's not it. No, I think because my old Redbubble page is down, I can't even Google it anymore. Anyway, Some Anime Waifu, welcome to the Rogue Room. How you doing? Let me turn on my notification for follows again. There we go. So I see is following, and Tolita, 15 minutes ago. Welcome to the Rogue Room. So as I was going to say, yeah, being kind is so easy. It's for free. So you know what it is, but Kmart is so gone, you've almost forgotten what it is. Like, which honestly feels like the way GameStop should be, but GameStop keeps plugging along for some reason. Anyway, Sex Fiend Death Cult was, it was a joke I made about the trans community, like being a part of it myself, being trans, making fun of gender criticals who think we are some kind of sex fiend death cult. And where's the oh, hang on. I think I know where it would be. I know where it would be. It'd be in my YouTube videos. Because it was making fun of the fact that a lot of people think trans people are just ridiculous sex addicts, and B, a lot of them think we are all going to end ourselves. So it was a play on both of those. Hello, Frost Sugar Rush. How you doing? How's it going? Was it in this one? Yeah, we're fetishizing women's clothing. I'm wearing women's clothing right now. Do you think I'm turned on by it? No, it's a t-shirt and jeans. Jeggings, technically. It's not in here either. Oh my god. I can't believe I can't find this. That's insulting. Where's my logo? I wonder if I could, like... No, I have no idea. I have no idea where it is. I've got literally no idea where it is. I can't find it. Hello, Karma. How's it going? Jeggings are legit. They are. They're so good. Hello, DJ Shay. How's it going? Find it hilarious when they try that take because I wear suits and I fucking rock that look. Suits are fucking... Oh my goodness. There was a suit get up I wanted to get recently, which I didn't end up doing, which looked really cool. It's got the look of jeans but not the weight. That's very, very poignant. Yes. They're very, they're very flexible too. They're nice. They're just nice and chill and cozy. And look at how good my legs look in them. Oh my god. Oh, I got new shoes too. They're only cheap canvas pieces of crap, but they're nice. They got little gold holy bits. They're cozy. Look at that. I think everything I'm wearing tonight except for the jacket is technically women's clothing if you want to go down that route. I found it all in the women's section. Oh my god. How dare I? Always got the fashion going. I try. I thank you so kindly. Also, let me point this out. Remember my beige outfit that I've ordered? Thanks to Daddy. Thank you, Daddy. That's fucking creepy. Considering. My legitimate dad, my legitimate father. Yeah, the beige outfit. And my pants came in today. For some reason they shipped my pants. And my cardigan and my top separately. So I'm probably going to get the cardigan and the top tomorrow. Whereas I got the pants today. Which is really weird. I don't know why they did that. But hey, I'm getting the whole outfit. I am so keen. You have no idea. I'll wear it. If it comes in tomorrow, I'll wear it on stream tomorrow. I cannot wait. It is such a cute outfit. It's like the most oddly gender-affirming thing in the world. It's so good. Sis guy here, but the women's section at thrift stores is dope. I need to check out the thrift shops. Once they're open again. Once we're out of lockdown here in New South Wales. I'll definitely be going thrift shopping. I wouldn't mind doing an IRL stream where I go thrift shopping. Would that be Pog or would that be Pog? Hi, Ass Toad. How's it going, lovely? The Iconic has done that to me before. It bugs me, but they ship it quickly at least. I mean, yeah. But this is the weird thing about this, though, is that these clothes are from the same store. It's not an online store. It's a physical store. So all the clothes should technically be in the same location, but I guess they weren't. They could have been at different physical locations, and they were just okay, we got one at this store. These two are at this store. Just send them as separate packages, which I suppose it makes sense. Or multiple warehouses, yeah. And, furthermore, no shipping cost, because I paid $300 fucking dollars. You go to a building and you buy them from the building? What the heck? I've never heard of anyone doing that. How are you, Nova, by the way? Not a lot of IRLs in Australia. Not anymore. We're all locked down. I do want to do an IRL stream at some point. If we're out of lockdown sometime in the near future... The main problem at the moment with me doing anything IRL, my phone cannot be plugged into an external charger anymore. The charging port doesn't work. So I can't stream off my phone at the very least. And I know some people who do IRL streams do an actual camera or they have a separate phone just for streaming. Stop punching the microphone, Abigail. Which I don't have any of that tech. I'd like to have, a fancy camera, but I don't. Guess who just won at Pong? I'm assuming it's you, Snaily. I got a Samsung S10, and I think I've dropped it a few times recently, regrettably. It's got some cracks on the back of it, which you can just faintly see there. And and I think it's been dropped enough times that the charging port stopped working. So now, yeah, I might be able to get it fixed, but it cost me a ton. And I've got a charging disc now. So it charges, but only on the disc. It doesn't charge through the port anymore. But if I was able to have it plugged into a portable charger and we're out of lockdown, then yeah, I'd absolutely go do an IRL stream. I'd love to do an IRL stream going to like the Sydney Museum or something like that. That'd be really cool. Honestly, I'd love to do that. That'd be so good. Getting phone screens fixed costs more than the phone itself. My screen is fine. My screen protector needs replacing, but my screen is actually fine. It's the back of it. Just send it to Slayer if I could. It'd probably cost me less than taking it to like the place at my local shopping center. Which is kind of, I mean, I get why those places are open, but it's like we're in lockdown and phone repair shops, EB Games, and JB Hi-Fi are open. The only reason I can justify keeping something like EB Games or JB Hi-Fi open is because they sell microphones and cameras for work from home stuff. That's the only justification I can think of. I'm not vaccinated. I'm not eligible for a vaccine yet. We don't have the vaccine that our government believes is eligible for people under the age of like 40 or 50. So there's limited vaccines in the country, and I'm not on like the urgent list of people who are priority to get one. So yeah, I suppose the museum thing, yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to. Cameras in general. Yeah, true. I didn't even think about that. Where else could you go? Where could you go for an IRL stream? What age do you need to be eligible? I don't know. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. We'll do my state. I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter either way. NewSouthWales.gov.au, who can get vaccinated now? We have talked about this before, but it's good to refresh our memory. The Aussie government will provide free COVID-19 vaccines to everyone living in Australia. Here's what you need to know about booking a COVID-19 vaccine. There are 2 vaccines currently available in Australia, Pfizer and AstraZeneca. You will review the vaccine recommended for your age and other eligibility and clinical criteria. You need 2 doses of the same vaccine at 2 appointments to complete the vaccination. When you receive your first dose, make sure you have an appointment booked for the second. Pfizer are recommended 3 weeks apart. AstraZeneca are given 12 weeks apart. Priority groups. So the groups are based on. So here's where the priorities lie: potential exposure to COVID-19 cases, such as healthcare and quarantine workers; age and medical conditions. So if you are particularly vulnerable to catching COVID and suffering seriously from it; and vulnerability or regular contact with vulnerable people, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So I'm not eligible for any of those. Who can get a vaccine now? If you are 40 years of age or older. 40 years of age or older will match the eligibility criteria because of your job. Here's the thing, right? You can get the vaccine, but it's the one no one wants. AstraZeneca is the more risky one. Yeah, like you can get it. I think the government has recommended you don't get it if you're under the age of 50 to get the AstraZeneca because of like an increased risk of blood clots. But here's the thing, right? I'm trying to find a quote tweet that I did about a video the government put out. Let me just find this really quickly. It's in here somewhere. Of course I did that fucking Q&A on Twitter, so my feed is just chock full of these stupid answers. Where is it? Let's find it. Here we go. So, here's the thing that I posted the other day. COVID can affect anyone, and I would book my vaccination if I actually could. But here's a graphic ad, trigger warning, that the government ran, right? The government ran this ad. I'm going to show it to you now. Right? It's only a short one. So, here's this woman struggling a bit. I'll leave it there. That's just the same thing, right? The whole way through. COVID-19 can affect anyone. Just mute the volume for a second. Stay home, get tested, book your vaccination. Yeah, but we can't book our vaccination. That woman looks about my age or younger. And that's not a ventilator mask. I don't think they put that much effort into the production value of this. That woman looks about my age or younger. She can't get the vaccination. She can't book it, you dickheads. And there's a few responses to this that are probably, like, this doesn't seem like it's going to help anything. It doesn't seem like it's going to motivate anybody to go get their vaccines because, A, we can't get them, and B, this is just like scaremongering, you know? A better ad would have been, A better ad, honestly, would have been a let's get back to normal ad. Let's get back to it kind of ad. A let's get back to everyday life. You know, get your vaccine so you can go back to hanging out with your friends at the cafe and taking your kids to sports clubs and all that. Like, do that. Do that kind of thing. Don't scaremonger over it. That's how you terrify people. That ad targets the problem in America. It does. You looked away. You remember when COVID first hit the hospital? That, but 5 times worse, yeah. Or spend the ad money buying more doses. Probably wouldn't buy that many, honestly. I don't think they spent that much money on that ad. It was just a point to put the fear in people's heads. If you don't get COVID vaccine, you'll end up in hospital struggling to breathe. And I'm like, yeah, you probably will be. It'll probably be fucking hell. Absolutely. But again, this is incredibly inconsiderate, this ad. It doesn't think about the people who are actually affected by this. Affected by the lack of availability, you know. Have the doses, but nobody will take them. Oh, I've heard about that. I've heard there's a pretty significant, actual, legitimate anti-vax problem in the US. Like, it's that prominent. It's actually scary. It's, like, legitimately scary that there are so many people out there. Like, there are a lot of people that want to get vaccinated, and there are a lot of people that don't want to get vaccinated. And the people who don't want to get vaccinated are typically the kinds of, like, wasn't it Fauci that said something along the lines of once you get vaccinated, you can stop wearing masks? Which is probably not good advice, but generally speaking, you know, you would think that would motivate people. It's like, oh, go back to your normal. Go, no more wearing masks anymore. Go get your vaccine, and then you can go back to a regular life. Isn't that what you want? Open everything up again. Get back to business. Get back to work. Have the things back to the way they were before the pandemic. Don't you want that? And apparently that messaging has not even worked on these idiots, you know? And it sounds daft COVID-wise. It does. But it's kind of that, like, middle ground. You have to tread carefully on that shaky ground with people. It's like you've got to say certain things. What was it? It's kind of like the Overton window thing, right? With regards to the COVID vaccine situation, with regards to motivating people to get vaccinated, it's kind of like the Overton window. You have to say just enough that it sounds acceptable. But even then, what sounds acceptable, like, it has to sound acceptable, but it also has to be good. You know, so you have to convince enough people, but it also has to be a good thing. So that's where that middle ground comes in, where it's like, oh, okay. You can get your vaccine. You can take your mask off. You can go back to normal life. Anyways, you were autistic before you got the vaccine, and you're still autistic now. Software update. Oh yeah, public health messaging would be hard. It would be incredibly difficult. I don't envy the people in charge of this kind of thing. It would definitely be a very, very intense situation. You're trans before the vaccine. Now you're super trans. Is that like super straight? I hope not. Oh god, nobody say super straight in chat. You'll get timed out or something. I forget what happens. Anti-maskers are wearing masks because they believe that people that got the vaccine are going to spread infertility. How do you spread infertility? Mega hats. It's funny how close that is to MAGA hat. Oh god, why are there still MAGA hats? I was watching Riverboat Jack earlier, and she was watching Trump at the CPAC or whatever it was. And he's just so deranged in the way he puts forth his speeches. It's really, really disturbing, honestly, genuinely. Mega hat and MAGA hat, coincidence, I think not. There are no coincidences. This is the conspiracy of the society that we live in. Anti-vaxxers not being responsible for children can only be a good thing. Well, true. True. Legit wanting for the third wave to end so you can get your initial bloods in that the mything excursion. Got your Autism 2.0 update. Now you can connect to Bluetooth devices with your mind. Will you get banned for this? Bill Gates microchip tracking 5G. Speaking of, someone made an AI generate a Trump speech. Let's have a look. Let's see what it says. Okay, I want to read this. I can't do a Trump voice, so forgive me, but we'll have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. Trump rally in Big Arby's in South Wyoming, Oklahoma. President Trump forces himself on a podium. Oh my god. There you go. You get a 1-second timeout. I just had a phone call with the economy. Jobs poured out of the phone. Great Jobs, Tall Jobs, Steve Jobs, all at Kinko's. Are we sure this isn't AI and not someone having a giggle? The crowd cheers. It is full of real Americans. Man with hard hat, man with harder hat, gun that is alive. President Trump continued. The United Snakes is doing so good. Other countries are on fire. All the people on fire. Hot fire too, not us. Our flag is so beautiful. President Trump salutes a flag that says, Arby's food is fine to eat. The crowd howls. They love this flag of America. I like the United Snakes. President Trump continued, I signed a bill. No more swamp. Swamp gone. Swamp is in Mexico now. It's on fire. Great deal for us. The crowd chants, 4 more swamps. 4 more swamps. Foreign powers cheat us. Canada steals our milk. China steals our milk. We only had 1 glass of milk left. Obama drank it. Not fair. The crowd boos. They wanted that milk. This is not a bot. This is not an AI. Somebody actually sat down and manually wrote this. Nobody did an AI for this. No way. There's no fucking way this is an AI. But like President Ronald Reagan, I will bring back the milk. The crowd roars. They still want that milk. A wall of milk. No criminals get through. Democrats want criminals to have the milk. No way. Milk comes from coal. We'll dig it up. All the words are mispronounced. The crowd cheers. They hate pronunciations. They love milk. They start digging. It does suck to be an Australian. How are you, King Cobra? It does. We're stuck in lockdown. It's fucking awful. Well, we're not stuck in lockdown. I can go out. I can go out to the shops. I can go get groceries. I can go get fuel. I can go book my car in to get a service. I can do stuff. But the problem is... a lot of places are not open. A lot of businesses are closed up at the moment. We don't have enough vaccines. I don't think there's much of an anti-vax movement in Australia. There is one, but I don't think there's much of an anti-vax movement in Australia. AI or no, maybe like what I'm thinking, looking at it, maybe it's like these bits that are AI. Maybe it's the bits where Trump is written. Maybe it's like Trump's actual dialogue is AI, but then these bits in between are like, I feel like those have been supplemented by whoever wrote this. You know, these bits feel too, what's it called? These bits feel too conveniently written. People are already losing jobs in New South Wales. Yeah, oh yeah. Because everything's locked down, of course. Businesses are going out of business. Did you ever recover from the toilet roll hoarders? Thankfully, this time around. Yeah, they're too coherent, those bits. Thankfully, this time around, the supermarkets have put in measures to stop people from hoarding toilet paper like last time. So, when you go to buy toilet paper, it's like you can buy 1 or 2 packets total. Same with paper towel, same with tissues. I don't know what people were thinking would happen with COVID. Like, were they expecting COVID to be this thing that makes you shit your ass out for 6 months straight? Like, what the hell's... Why are people hoarding toilet paper? I don't know what the deal is there. Anyway. Didn't that Australian anti-vax organisation take skeptics out of their name because they were worried it made them sound too scientific? Wait, really? They expected The Walking Dead, maybe. Oh, God. People are just dying off. They're not getting up and wandering around brainless. We expected Mad Max. No, I wanted Mad Max. That'd be fun. COVID is afraid of toilet paper. If you hoard toilet paper, the COVID can't touch you. Honestly shocked that Australia is short on vaccines. Thought you guys were pretty with it. No, yeah, the vaccine rollout has been absolutely fucked. I think we have some news on the rollout. Let me have a look. COVID-19 support payments. Dramatic footage shows a wildfire consuming houses in California. No, let me have a look. There's been a lot of news about this. Australia's COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Here's an article from the Guardian. It's an opinion piece by the look of it. Here we go. Let's have a look at this. The data shows Australia's rollout was not just slow to start, the pace of vaccination has also lagged behind many other nations. We're nearly 18 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, and the Australian government has now released a confronting ad, which we just watched before, attempting to scare people into getting a vaccine. It is a fair indication that they have failed at their job. It's not just that the advert featuring a young woman in intensive care targets an audience which until now has either been unable to or advised not to get the vaccine. Since March last year, people across the nation have had their lives severely disrupted. They've missed public events, school and work, family gatherings, and moments of shared joy and grief. This is not a case of saying you had one job. The Morrison government had several jobs regarding the vaccine, and it has failed them. On Monday, Sydney marked its 679th case in this latest outbreak. So here's the winter outbreak. Jesus Christ. What a happy birthday present. 112 new COVID cases on my birthday. Awesome. The curve is not flattening, and clearly the tool to prevent further outbreaks is vaccination, but the data shows the rollout had problems from the start and has gotten worse. As Amy Ramakis tweeted last week, the Morrison government has shifted the goalposts ever more toward the horizon. Similarly, Nick Evershed and Christopher Nouse have forensically gone through the Morrison government's policy stuff-up that has led to our current state of coming dead last among OECD nations for vaccinations. Look at that. Percent of population fully vaccinated by the 9th of July. New Zealand's only at 10%, we're at 9%, but I mean there's less people in New Zealand, I guess. Thank you, Draco. Yeah, my birthday was 2 days ago. It was fun. I was going to stream on my birthday, but I decided not to. You know what would be a really great belated birthday present? A hype train. Shh, don't tell anyone I said that. In July 2018. So it was the Australian Vaccination Risks Network. In July 2018, the group changed its name to the Australian Vaccinations Risks Network Incorporated, citing that many in their group did not feel comfortable having the word skeptics in their name as the reason for the change. The group decided that the word skeptic too closely aligned them with scientific skepticism organizations such as the Australian Skeptics. I see. Abby, what have you sent me? Hang on. Every time you repost this flopper, a transphobic state legislator dies. So NZ's population is 1/5 of Australia's. Okay. So they've got, like, they have vaccinated less people than us then, technically. I think, if I'm calculating that correctly. Iceland is at 70%. I'm moving, guys.
Another round
Snaily
on you.
Thank you so kindly.
Snaily birthday.
You fucking legend, you. I think somebody mentioned this to me before, that, like, to get a hype train, what is it? It's got to be 3 things, and I think it can be, like, a sub and a minimum of, like, a 100-bit cheer twice or something. I don't know what it is. Anyway. Thanks for streaming. Oh, that's alright, Hellfire. I hope you're okay with me just going through COVID vaccine stats really quickly. There was some... I was going to do some meme stuff, and we're going to talk pronouns a little bit. We're going to talk pronouns. So we're going to, like, chill out. We're going to try to just vibe. There is a bit of darker news, but we'll try to keep it at a nice chill vibe tonight. We'll try to keep it easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, you know? Reminds you of the anti-drink drive speeding ads that were also pretty intense, but arguably not great. Yeah, I remember those. Where, like, the whole point of the ad was to show you the traumatic experiences that you can have if you drink and drive. It's like someone swerve, like, or like the not just anti-drink driving, but the thing about micro sleep as well. They will show somebody swerving all over the road, and then they veer off the road and they crash into a telegraph pole. And right as they crash into the telegraph pole, the thing cuts to black, so you don't see anything. And then there's this traumatic after effect as the scene fades out, and it's like, you know, what is it? Like, rest so you don't crash into telegraph poles. I don't know what the message is, but, you know, something like that. Anyway. Total number they've done less, but of course that's why they do 5, so it's easily comparable. Oh, percents. Sorry, in percents. In your country is going crazy right now with rioters and looters. What? Where are you again, Hellfire? Yeah, it goes black because they're supposed to have died, yes, but, like, it's just a horrific sequence to show on television. Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's kind of, I was seeing those ads as a child in South Africa. Oh my goodness. Stay safe. Please stay safe. Above all else, stay safe. Yeah, like the ads that they were showing about the like sleeping and driving, drinking and driving, and all of that, where they'd be like a traumatic ad. They'd be showing those during like primetime hours on television. They'd be showing those ads when kids would be awake watching cartoons. Kids would be watching the TV, and then all of a sudden a drink driving ad comes on. I was like 12 or 10 or whatever. I'm watching TV. All of a sudden, there's this traumatizing advertisement. And even now, looking back, I'm pretty sure I was saying to myself, should I be seeing this? This is pretty, like, grim. When you were a teenager, there were a series of anti-weed PSAs, that said, weed is as dangerous as alcohol. Kind of a stupid comparison to make since plenty of teens drink and alcohol is legal. I know, right? It's ridiculous. Going to lurk mode, got some bad health news. That's unfortunate. Okay, Jennifer. Please stay safe. Gay memes. Give me a second. My ear is itchy. I'm going to stick a tissue in there because my ear is itchy. So, because I got to get, like, inside that bitch. Okay? Just, like, get right up in there. Get right up in your ear. Clean it out. It's not about cleaning it out. It's just because it's, like, a scratchy, itchy bit in there. Like, I've been getting itches lately. And I think it's from, I think the itch all over my body is from shaving. I think I need to find a better shaving cream or better razors or something like that to alleviate that problem. Or maybe I need to go back to hair removal cream for like from like the neck down, because I don't get itchy. Strangely enough, I don't get itchy on my face when I shave. But everything from the neck down, generally speaking, there's itch at some point. And I think I'm going to go back to hair removal cream because I don't think I had that problem. Plus it lasts longer, like a few days. Your hair free for a few days, sometimes a week. It's good. But yeah, like I hate the comparison between alcohol and weed. Like I don't even smoke weed, but I am well aware of the fact that alcohol is severely more damaging. It's just severely more damaging. How am I? I'm well, Fox. How are you? Heard about a campaign about cell phone use while driving in a movie theater that showed the car driving. Then through some tech, it triggered everyone's phones to ring, and in the second people looked down, the car veered off the road and crashed. So it triggered everyone's phones to ring in the theater? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean like in the ad, everyone in the car looking down at their phones all of a sudden? What do you mean there? I'll have a look at these gay memes. Well, I want to look at some Are the Straights Okay tonight. That'll be fun. Fun fact, unlike the gay agenda, the bisexual agenda contains a 15-minute break for snacks between sessions. The asexual agenda is entirely made of snacks with a 15-minute break for all-out anarchy. The pansexuals, with their extreme love of kitchenware, make all the snacks. For the lesbian agenda, we don't even have a kitchen, we just eat out. It triggered everyone in the theater's phone to ring. That's fucking disturbing, and I do not like that at all. Oh my god. Also, yeah, what kind of person has their phone on in the theater? They sound like monsters. Probably had an ulterior motive of showing who hadn't switched to silent for the movie. Probably, I suppose. Probably. Where were we? Oh yeah, we were looking at this. Let's continue with this for a minute. As damning as that statistic is, it does not reveal the full story, nor the major problem going ahead. The vaccination program essentially comes in three parts. Firstly, securing the vaccine. Secondly, giving the people a first dose. And finally, getting them fully vaccinated. On the first part, despite assertions last year by the Prime Minister Scott Morrison that we were at front of the queue, we have lagged well behind other nations. Most European countries began vaccinations just after Christmas, and the UK and US got going a bit earlier. Australia's rollout only began on the 22nd of February. So this is strike one. You might argue that the slow start is not the government's fault. After all, Japan and South Korea only began their vaccine rollouts in late February, but given the initial promises the government made on delivery and their decision to order so few Pfizer vaccines, a pass here requires a lot of forgiving. And then we come to the rollout itself. It is now nearly 140 days since our first vaccination, and 26% of the population have had at least one dose. At the same stage, 33% of Canadians had received one dose, 45% of Americans, and half of everyone in the UK. And worryingly, while our rollout is not the slowest in the OECD, that title goes to Mexico, we are falling behind. Prior to the 22nd of June, I should say, our rollout was proceeding at around the median pace of the rest of the OECD, but in the past month we have fallen behind. The pace of our rollout is falling behind the rest of the OECD. Percentage of the OECD population with at least one vaccination by day since first vaccination. So there's the median, we're falling behind there. There's the minimum. This is no surprise when you consider that that period has coincided with a massive confusion and fear about the efficacy, dangers, and availability of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The Morrison government, through the National Cabinet, has failed to deliver a consistent, measured, and unified response on the AZ vaccine. As a result, the data shows the pace of vaccinations is now below where we would expect it to be given what has happened in other nations. So that's strike two. Then there is the pace of fully vaccinating people. This also comes down to government decisions. Canada, for example, has taken a first dose fast approach, seeking to give as many people at least one dose before prioritizing the second dose. Australia has no such policy, but our reliance on the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has a longer waiting time between the first and second dose than the Pfizer, means our pace of fully vaccinating people lags well behind the OECD average. Good lord, look at that, we're like halfway down. After the first 140 days of their vaccine rollout, the UK had 21% of its population fully vaccinated, and the US had a massive 33%. By contrast, Australia has just 8.6%, the fourth worst in the OECD, and third worst if we exclude Canada. Why are we excluding Canada? What does that mean? The fourth worst, and third worst if we exclude Canada. Why are we excluding Canada? And that's strike three. Our vaccine program has been one of a slow start and a slow rollout and an utter failure by the Morrison government. I mean, fuck Canada. I mean, I know they mentioned Canada earlier. Canada has a first dose fast approach. But then they're just like, if we take Canada out of it, we're the third worst. It was like, what does that mean? It's worse if you just ignore the other countries. Canada's been cancelled.
I see you've brought guests.
Kiara, thank you for bringing all your friends over.
Friends.
How's it going? Welcome to the Road Grim, folks. My name is Abigail Beck. Welcome to a place of warmth, welcoming, and acceptance. And learning. We are learning together. Please be sure to check out Kiara, folks, if you have not already. Kiara's great. Kiara's amazing. Alright, how was your stream? What were you getting up to tonight? What were you talking about? What were you chatting about? Thank you for the WR, folks, by the way. That's awesome. Thank you so kindly. Please be kind to yourselves and each other while you're here. Look at my shirt. It says be kind. Hello, Abhinav Demkeys. What's going on? Of course, it's VW. They always had good ads. So what was the ad you were talking about? So here's the ad that we were talking about. So MCL Cinema Hong Kong mobile phone car crash advertising effective. Let's have a look at this. Forgot what we were talking about. I forget what I'm talking about most of the time. Unsuspecting moviegoers, which is not just... I'm doing okay. I'm doing alright. Okay. Location-based broadcaster. Creepy. Looks like he has a bomb when he answers. I know. There's no way that's real. That has to be staged. I don't believe it. I refuse to believe it. I mean, that's a good message. Yes, obviously. Reminder to keep your eyes on the road. I mean, this is a redundant question. So many of those people had their phones on ring. Assholes, I know, right? What the fuck? How dare they? Rude. That's what I'm concerned about. Turn off. I'm trying to turn my colors back to normal. There we go. Rude pricks. Don't go in the cinema if you're going to leave your phone on ring. Anyway. The message was, you up? Okay, so this is a redundant question. I know this is a redundant question. Can I get a hands up in chat if you've played GTA 5? Just give me a hands up if you've played GTA 5. Or like a yes. Just tell me you've played GTA 5. I'm sure you have. It's kind of a silly question. I'm like almost certain every single person in my chat has played GTA 5. I almost doubt there is a person left on the planet that doesn't know what a video game is. Or rather, I doubt there's a person left on the planet that knows what a video game is that hasn't played GTA 5. Anyway, you haven't? Okay. Well, GTA 5 does in fact feature a cell phone function. So you can have your cell phone, you can answer the cell phone, you can there's little apps you can use on it and all that. You'll get messages, you can accept missions through the phone and all this kind of thing. There's a bunch of stuff you can do with it. However, I've noticed, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, maybe this is just a subconscious multitasking thing, but back in the past when I played it, I don't play it anymore. When I would bring up the phone, which pops up in the corner, like over here, like in this little corner here, just imagine little smartphone pops up, and you got your little apps and all that. The moment you bring the phone up and you start using it, all of a sudden your focus on driving, if you are driving that is, goes out the window. And I don't know if it's an intentional game design thing to make you think about that, or if it's just the fact that I'm distracted by looking at the phone and all of a sudden my ability to drive the in-game car goes out the window. Anyways, how are you folks feeling? You barely played 4 or 3? 3 was good. Vice City, San Andreas, like the whole PS2 era was really good. I really, really enjoyed those. Life imitates art, I know, right? But I really enjoyed Grand Theft Auto 4. I did like 5, but I feel like it missed a few steps. I feel like they tried too hard to basically replicate Saints Row in a lot of ways, which is really weird to say, but now it's one of the most profitable video games on the planet, so... No, there's no depth of field. I just felt like the controlling of the car suddenly became a little bit tougher because the phone was up. All of a sudden, I was more likely to swerve into traffic and hit obstacles and stuff. 3 was amazing, but you remember the jump from GTA 2 to 3 and it blew your mind. I am honestly still of the belief that the jump from mostly 2D graphical games to mostly 3D graphical games is a technological leap in gaming that we're never going to match. Ever. The impressive nature of how we went from like side-scrollers and top-down games that were all heavily pixelated to suddenly all these games are polygonal and we've got fully 3D rendered environments and things like that. I don't think we're ever going to match that level of technological jump. It's never going to be as impressive. Oh, but the grass moves now. Yeah, I know. VR is impressive when that becomes better, and I don't think it's ever going to be mainstream. I don't think VR is ever going to be mainstream because the tech came out stupid expensive. It's very hard to produce, and you need a lot of space in your living area in your play area to use it. I don't think it's ever going to become mainstream in the same way that sitting with a console or sitting with a gaming PC is mainstream in terms of gaming, or using your phone even. So even though that is an impressive technological leap, I don't think it... I personally, my own opinion, nothing can match the jump from 2D to 3D. Because that was just... I remember playing Wolfenstein 3D and thinking that was incredibly cool. And then I played a game that was actually 3D and I was like, holy fuck. Like, I think it was... I want to say Crash Bandicoot or like Quake or Doom was my first 3D game. Blew my fucking mind. Absolutely could never match it. However, I suppose the point could be made that I was a kid. I was a child, right? I was a small child. So I'd experienced 2D games like Prince of Persia, Cosmos Cosmic Adventure, Mario, a bunch of other little 2D games, and then I'd played a couple of 3D games thanks to my cousin having access to them. And the best option quest is riddled with Facebook awfulness. Yeah. Until we can get some... I can taste the food I'm eating in my game by plugging right into your head. I do want to live in the Matrix. The Matrix sounds fucking cool, honestly. Just plug me into that shit. Give me an idyllic life in the Matrix. There's a comic that I should try to find for you folks about a girl who goes and investigates a clinic you can go to effectively plug into a video game. And they strap you to a table, and they there's like you're strapped into this perfect VR experience in these video games. And I'll play Fortnite once I get Twitch partner, if I get it before the end of this year. There's your goal, folks. Tell your friends to watch my stream, get me to Twitch partner before the end of this year. I will stream Fortnite. That's the goal. Anyway, there's this comic, I can't remember what it's called. If I explain it to you, somebody might know what it is. But this girl, one of her friends goes missing because her friend went to this gamer cafe where they jack you into the Matrix, basically. And you're strapped down to a table in a little private chamber, and you're just stuck playing this game for as long as you can afford to do so. Some people have got lots of money, so they just stay strapped into the game forever, and then, or for as long as they can. And there's an optional, like, nutrition package you can get. So to keep yourself sustained, there's a nutrition package, right? And at some point in the comic, the guy who's showing the little investigator girl through this gamer cafe clinic store thing, whatever it is, opens up a door and shows a guy who is just absolutely emaciated, and his teeth are falling out of his head, and he's just on the cusp of death. He barely functions anymore because he's been in the game that long, and he just hand-waved either he hand-waved or he couldn't afford the nutrition package, right? And it's fucking horrifying that, honestly, I could see that kind of thing happening. I could see that being a thing one day. I wouldn't be surprised if there was one day a gamer cafe where they would, like, feed chemicals into your system to keep you hooked on staying plugged into it. Probably capitalism. You need a sleep radio, Scoville. Have a bloody good one. Thank you so kindly for being here. Fork knife. Fork or knife. Okay, let me do it. Which is the better of the two? Not Popole. Why is Twitch chat so fucking laggy? Oh my god. There we go. Needed the KFC gaming console. Did that ever get released? That sounds pretty pog, I'm not gonna lie. The KFC gaming console, I kinda want it. Oh, head pats. I get head pats, thank you. I would like it to be someone else giving me head pats, but I'll do my own. I don't have like a fancy graphic that comes up, but thank you, Uwu, for the head pats. Has anyone else redeemed those? Knife has far more versatility. That's not a knife. This is a knife. That's not a knife. That's a spoon. Finally gonna be cis. So what else have I missed? Hope one day VR becomes good enough you can be addicted to it. I think that's what sparked off that conversation a second ago. What about when self-driving cars become very good, like predictions of the future good? I don't think that's ever going to happen because the people who are designing the technology don't want it to happen. The people who are designing the self-driving car technology would rather some of their cars crash and kill people than have them be good enough that you don't even need a driver anymore. I think they have a vested interest in that. Primarily, like, the thing that worries me about self-driving cars, like, think about the way Apple runs its business model. I think there was talk of Apple getting into the smart car market. Think of how Apple runs its business model on planned obsolescence, right? Eventually, your iPhone is going to break and going to be unusable. Imagine if one of these companies starts making smart cars, driverless smart cars, that at some point decide to break and careen off the road and kill everyone in the car. We've already seen smart cars crashing and killing people. Sanya, welcome to the Rogram. How are you going? I'm just incredibly skeptical of the technology. As much as I would love driverless cars to be a thing, and electric cars to be a thing, renewable cars, renewable energy cars to be a thing, I'm very, very skeptical of the technology as it stands. The knife wins. Of course the knife wins. You can eat spaghetti with a fork. You can. That's a very convincing argument, I'm going to say. That's very convincing. I do like spaghetti. I didn't used to like spaghetti, actually. Guess they'd want them to be safe, but yeah, we're not even close to being there, exactly. And they don't have... Think of, like, the kind of torment that people like Elon Musk put their workers through. Do you think they care about regular, everyday civilians? Of course they don't. They don't mind if the autonomous car crashes into a pole, you know. As long as they can make the cars look good enough, it doesn't matter if, like, 1 or 2 people crash their car and a whole family dies. They don't care as long as the rest of the... As long as the rest of the line is running smoothly. They can say something like, oh, well, like, 0.1% of our cars might crash occasionally. It's technology. Technology has glitches. Old cars had problems too. Don't think they do that. They probably programmed them to one day just not turn on. Ideally, yes. But capitalism depresses me so much. Especially since we know they wouldn't be held accountable. They just pay a wrist slap of a fine and consider it the cost of doing business. Exactly. Current Tesla cars only have color webcams instead of LiDAR, and that's why that guy got decapitated. There was a guy that got decapitated. Okay. Because it couldn't tell the difference between a white sky and white rear truck doors. Fucked me dead. He got decapitated. The LiDAR versus webcam thing is already the issue. It's not going to be the railroad track argument, right? That's not what it's called, you know what I mean? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine if they went down the road of, road, get it? Because it's cars, we're talking about cars. If it went down the road of, eventually your car will break and you'll need to replace the whole fucking car, whereas right now, you can keep a car for a good long while as long as you're able to afford to maintain it, but eventually it's going to be useless. Don't trust Musk, let alone any other capitalist. Yeah, you can post links. Just be like, just want my mods to be on standby. Like, if you're, I trust you, Megaspell, to post a link. As long, I don't expect you would post something nasty and mean, but I just want my mods to be on alert if we see any links that look suspicious. Right to repair will be eroded over time, more than likely, yeah. Tesla driver killed after smashing into truck had just enabled autopilot, US crash watchdog. In a preliminary report issued on Thursday, the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board said that a Tesla 3 crash on March 1 in Delray Beach, Florida occurred while the vehicle's autopilot system was active. The driver engaged the autopilot about 10 seconds before the collision, the report stated. From less than 8 seconds before the crash to the time of impact, the vehicle did not detect the driver's hands on the steering wheel. Preliminary vehicle data show that the Tesla was traveling about 68 miles per hour when it struck the semi-trailer. Neither the preliminary data nor the videos indicate that the driver or autopilot executed evasive maneuvers. In other words, the car drove straight into the First Fleet semi-trailer crossing the highway, which perhaps should have yielded as it didn't have right of way. The Tesla's roof was torn off, and it appeared neither the human driver nor the AI-powered autopilot were paying any attention at the time. I mean, once his head was off, he certainly wasn't paying attention. The report, we note, does not assign blame to anyone in particular. This accident is the third fatal crash in America where autopilot is confirmed to have been active. The first was in Williston, Florida on May 7, 2016, and the situation was similar. A Tesla Model S drove into a truck without driver or system intervention. The second was on March 23, 2018 in Mountain View, California, involving a Tesla Model X. A lawsuit filed against Tesla by the family of the victim of that crash alleging autopilot defects was announced earlier this month. There have also been accidents where autopilot has been active that did not lead to any deaths. www.nastijpeg.org//neopets.png. Originally it was 69. The only reason Musk's companies are doing this shit and is making money is due to the DoD pumping money into them to develop tools for the US Armed Forces. Well, that too. In the film Upgrade, there is a self-driving car mogul called Eron. Of course there is. So yeah, I am very critical of this whole thing. Like, there's this quote at the end here. Tesla for too long has been using human drivers as guinea pigs. This is tragically what happens. And I recall a story recently of a car that was turned onto autopilot. This happened like last year or earlier this year, where somebody got into their Tesla. I think it was a Tesla. I'm assuming it was. They turned on the autopilot. They got into the back seat with their friend, and then they let the car drive off, and it crashed into a telegraph pole or a tree or something. Both of them died. The car caught fire. Emergency services came out to try to put the fire out, and they had to call up Tesla because it was an electrical fire and they didn't know how to deal with it because the fire kept starting. Like, they would put the fire out and it would just reignite. Like, yeah, I mean, I like the idea of electric cars. I'm not trusting them at all, as far as I can throw them, you know. On the right to repair point, let's have a look at this. Okay, this is interesting. We got Vice. All right. Farmers are hacking their tractors because of a repair ban. Let's have a look.
We're going to hook...
And then after this, we'll do our little pronouns discourse, and I also want to look into Gamergate a little bit.
my laptop up to this combine.
Because I am not caught. I want to know what exactly happened during Gamergate, and I only know bits and pieces of it. I'm just fixing my monitor here really quickly. Hang on. Anyway, moving on.
Try to get codes out of it, I guess. I would say what I'm doing is hacking.
Farms today use a tremendous amount of technology.
DeerMates claims that you only really have the license to use their software. And for someone to say they own the software pretty much takes away the whole viability of the entire tractor or piece of equipment.
The only person that can repair those tractors to a great extent is the dealership.
I mean, look at the size of this machine. If I had to haul this thing 100 miles every time something went wrong with it, it'd cost a fortune. I mean, just to get it on a truck is $1,000, and by the time you get it hauled somewhere and get it hauled back, you're $2,000 into fixing something maybe relatively minor.
What we've had developed is essentially a monopoly on repair.
I've heard of things like this before. I mean, this is exactly the same as what happens with Apple, right? You know, you can't take your Apple phone to any other repair business. You have to take it to an Apple shop. Do they not have mobile techs for farming? Like, isn't farming a huge business? I don't know. Honestly. I don't pay much attention to farming technology.
We live in a disposable society. When our technology breaks, we replace it. But the art of repair is still practiced by a select few in our tech-obsessed culture. Tractors are the workhorses of agriculture. But unlike the past, the tractor of today is a complex computerized system that relies on embedded software to function. While technology has made tractors more efficient, it has made repair nearly impossible for farmers who need access to the software to repair their equipment. We went to Nebraska to meet the people at the forefront of Right to Repair, a movement fighting large tech companies for access to the diagnostic software needed to fix our things.
I am actually the 5th generation farming here on this operation where you sit today. We've been around for a while, since the mid-1800s. The kids laugh because she's my cat. She follows me around more. The big tractors
I like that. She's my cat.
over here we use for the day-to-day operations in row crop farming. Anything that requires a lot of horsepower, a lot of traction, you know, those are both big issues for us. Smaller tractors like this little guy here, we use for maintenance of the yard. We use them a lot. These little tractors we use a lot in the vegetable operation.
Look at the kitty
This
cat.
is the tractor that I learned to drive tractor on. One of the things growing up on a farm that happens is you learn to do everything very young. As soon as I could sit on the very front edge of that seat and push that clutch in, I learned how to drive. And the beauty of that tractor in terms of repair is I can go anywhere and get parts for it. We could tear this thing down and overhaul it in probably a week's time. It's a different era for sure. The earliest developments were in the engines. And probably from the mid-'80s, you know, we started to see computerized components in engines to the point where in the mid-'90s, essentially the entire engine is run by the computer. And so now today, all functions of the tractor are run by the computer. The seat in that tractor over there is more complicated than this entire tractor. As tractors have become more high-tech, the repairs have become more challenging. We do not have the ability to hook up a computer to a tractor to diagnose it, to repair it, or even to activate components that we may buy to put on that tractor. Particularly with older tractors, we would buy used parts and put on them to save money. And today, I can go out, and there are used parts for these tractors, these newer tractors that are available. But if I put them on, the tractor won't run. This receiver is, for the most part, a perfectly functioning receiver, okay? What this does is it receives satellite signals from GPS satellites. TCM in this is broken, okay? It's not functioning. What we were...
Hang on. I just wanted to see what you folks are saying. So, the John Deere employees here, the whim of John Deere choosing to send one out to your farm in the middle of nowhere. Oh, okay, so they have text. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Imagine the whole of U.S. farming having to depend on Apple bar geniuses from a handful of cities whenever any of their vehicles have even the slightest issue. Yeah, see, that's the worry, right? Apple usually just gives you a new one, so that's not so bad, but you get the point. I think I understand what you're getting at, which is a little bit more difficult when it comes to tractors.
Told by Deere is, well, we don't support this anymore. So essentially what they did was they forced us to buy a new unit.
Yep. Just want to say, yep. That's exactly it. Planned obsolescence.
Because they won't support this anymore, and we can't get the repairs for it.
Hello, Jessica. How you going?
This is actually my house,
yeah,
really.
It's rather interesting.
I work from home, I guess you call it, but I got buildings I put up around here just so I could work from home. This is my latest project I worked on, it's we call it the Ludicrusher, but it's a monster truck I built. My business is Ludic Diesel. Basically, I have a repair shop, and what I do is pretty much mostly is just to repair John Deere equipment, just because.
I honestly want to learn. I should take it upon myself to learn to repair my own car. I should honestly go and just like spend some time with my dad, who's done a fair bit on this sort of stuff, because my car's going through shit at the moment, and I need to get it fixed, and I don't know how much it's going to cost me. And chances are it would likely end up cheaper if I could figure out how to fix all this stuff myself. So I'm considering doing that. I'm considering learning how to fix my own car. You know, didn't Biden just pass a new right to repair law? We could have a look at that in a moment. Yeah, that's an idea. All for right to repair. Do it all the time in your own stuff, which is good. Rossman made a video saying Biden signed. Okay. Really excited for the bill in the U.S. passing on it, as it will open the door to other jurisdictions to pursue greater right to repair as well. Yeah, exactly. There's so many things like this where, yeah, like was mentioned earlier, you have to go to the dealership, you have to go to the business itself to get your things repaired, like your phone, like your car, like your tractors, like any of this kind of stuff. In some cases, like I always advocate against getting pre-built PCs, because that's usually the same case as well. Gaming consoles. If I'm not mistaken, there are certain parts of the PlayStation 4, I don't know about PlayStation 5, and the PS4 controller, they've got a unique screwdriver head that is exclusive to Sony, that you can't, you have to like get Sony to fix that. You have to send your controller or your console off to Sony to get them to fix that specific bit. I can't remember which part it is. I think it's the controllers. I don't recall. But it's to stop people from tinkering with things or whatever it is, or whatever excuse they have. Anyway.
I used to work in the John Deere dealership for 23 years, and all the customers know me, so they come in, and it's been great. If, say, it was actually a computer fault where the computer itself was damaged or whatnot, or stopped communicating and had to replace it, I could physically replace the computer, but the computers come basically brain dead, so you have to have software from John Deere for this serial number tractor. My biggest situation that I can't fix everything, every situation now is, because I don't have, John Deere's service advisor laptop. I can't connect to the equipment. I'm pretty restricted on what I can do as far as the newer equipment.
Sony's fucking security screws. Yeah, my PS4 sounds like a 747 as well.
I've been told some guys are doing.
Look at the kitties. Hang on. Kitty cats.
One of the things
Look at the kitties. You just gotta look at the kitties for a second, because we like the kitty cats. But yeah, like my PS4 does the same thing. It sounds like a jet engine, and I can take it apart and clean it out as much as I can. But there are certain parts where apparently, in order to fix those bits, which may actually be causing the problem, it would require the security screws to be taken off. And I don't want to send my PS4 away for who knows how fucking long. Maybe they'll fix my my disc ejector sensor, though. I've got sticky tape over the disc ejector on the inside of my PS4 because of the fact that for a while there, it was automatically ejecting any disc I put into it. So I had to actually go in, put sticky tape over the sensor so it wouldn't detect that there was a fingerprint touching it. So now you have to eject the discs via the software, which makes things a pain in the ass. Anyway.
What some guys are doing to deal with these issues is there's pirated software out there from Eastern Europe.
It works.
That guys are utilizing to try to get around this.
I had to look that up because I was like,
their tractors themselves.
I believe the software I got's a hacked version of John Deere's system. When it comes to tractors,
That's awkward. Like that's just honestly an awkward. Can I just point this out? This reminds me of the whole the guy Wild Bill or whatever. They've just like.
It's a hacked version of John Deere's system.
They've got this dude just standing here grinning, like he's posing for a photo, right? But it's a recording.
When it comes to tractors,
that's so awkward.
Farm, so out of necessity they break down, and I have to repair them in one way or another, and it's a lot cheaper to do it myself than it is to haul it into a repair shop or dealer to have it fixed. We got lots of, everywhere on a combine there's a sensor here and a sensor there, and every single little part of it has a electrical sensor in it. A couple of years ago we were doing custom anhydrous as fertilizer on cornfields. and you have a real small window to be able to get this done in the year, and the tractor broke down. So I had to find this software to be able to repair my tractor and make my customer happy and make a living. There's a whole selection of the machines based on serial numbers and what they are. And you got to pick the one out that's the right serial number for this machine. And then you'll be able to come over here. Once you're able to get into this, you know, I can go in and I can do a diagnostic on it, and it'll start checking all the codes and looking for what I have wrong. And then I can go up here and I can look at them and see what the problem is and why it's popping up.
In 2015, the Library of Congress granted an exemption to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Hang on, let me go back a second.
And see what the problem is and why it's popping up.
In 2015, the Library of Congress granted an exemption to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act
We fucking hate DMCA.
that makes it legal for farmers to hack their tractors for the purposes of repair. But software modification is still against John Deere's terms of service, which were updated soon after the ruling.
Not liking the creating of video evidence that these guys are technically breaking laws. Well, now it said that they're not technically breaking laws, they're just breaking terms of service. So that kind of puts them at risk with regards to John Deere. But one could argue, if John Deere were to go after them, they could pursue a lawsuit based on the law, based on the fact that it's been made legal to do these things. Like, I imagine they could probably pursue a lawsuit for that. Maybe. I don't know how laws work.
Despite this, Right to Repair is a growing movement that's turning ordinary farmers like Guy Mills into activists.
You think you missed out on part of this? Why do they have to hack them? Why isn't John Deere fixing the shit instead? Because they would have to, like the guy mentioned earlier, he'd have to pay like $1,000 to load his tractor up onto a truck and get it driven, who knows, like 100 miles or something like that away, to get it fixed at a John Deere dealership, and then get it sent back on the trailer again, which is another $1,000, which is time that he doesn't have that trailer, that truck or tractor, whatever it is. So, you know, they're being put out of their way, and as a result, like, John Deere should be fixing it, and John Deere would fix it, but John Deere isn't nearby. John Deere's ages away, and it costs the farmers money. Like, John Deere can't send a repair tech out. John Deere requires you to bring the technology into them, and so as a result, they're doing this kind of thing. They also don't want you. They also don't want you to, so you buy a new one. Yeah, exactly. Which again comes back to the whole Apple thing and other companies that do the exact same thing. They want your technology to break, so you buy the next one, the newer one. You know, yeah, they should send someone out to fix it. They should.
I wrote an op-ed in the paper.
Like, sorry, I'll rewind that when we rewatch that bit. So yeah, like,
Thank you for continuing your
thank
membership.
You so kindly.
Like the new logo.
I'm glad you do. I really, honestly, I'm gonna gloat for a second. I did fucking well on that. Here's like a bigger version of it on my starting screen. I'm pretty fucking happy with it. Thank you so kindly. I wanted to emulate that kind of. Honestly, I was inspired by Sam Cedar's logo. I wanted something vaguely similar to that, where it's like sort of bold. It's just like simple text shapes and simple colors, very flat. I might add a shadow to it a little bit later on, but I honestly, thank you so much. It means the world to me because I love how it turned out. Thank you for the 3 months as well. I should say that. Thank you for the sub, you legend. Be cheaper to send an agent out than to haul a goddamn tractor one way and then another. Yeah, but capitalism's stupid. That's the thing, is capitalism is fucking dumb. It doesn't think about logic.
Farmers like Guy Mills into activists.
I wrote an op-ed in the paper after I researched the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. I talked to some other people and other farmers after I wrote this op-ed, and they said, hey, we really like what you said. So I said, you know, maybe we should do something about this. So I made...
Oh my god, Tommy, okay, let me just... Sorry to keep interrupting the video, but this is relevant, you know. Yeah, but capitalism. This is relevant. My Google Pixel was maybe 6 months out of contract, maybe even less than that, and the battery started plummeting. Back when I used to go to my old gym, I'd take my phone in, I'd, you know, have my headphones in, Bluetooth on, and I'd be tracking my workout, so I'd have my workout tracking app, I'd have Spotify running. So no, I wasn't doing much with it, and I would be like maybe browsing social media in between my rest sets. So I wasn't like overusing my phone. I'd get up about say 8 a.m., get to the gym by about 8:30, 9 o'clock, finish my workout by about 10:30, get home, which, you know, the gym's only around the corner, so before 11 o'clock, and my battery was on like 15%. My battery was dying in 3 hours with my Google Pixel. And yeah, like I said, just out of contract. It's entirely by design.
A resolution through our local Nebraska corn growers. And I said, let's put something in our bylaws there that we support a right to repair. And who could argue with that? Then Lydia Brosh, and I must commend her, she'd come in with LB 67.
I am 6 names down. The Fair Repair Act gives an individual the ability, you've always had the right, but the ability to purchase the diagnostic tools and to take it somewhere local.
So always had the right, but the ability. So it gives you so you can buy it. You've always had the right to do so, but they didn't have the ability to do so. Okay.
Or to try to repair the equipment yourself.
Apple and Microsoft showed up at the hearing in Lincoln. Why would Apple care about whether a farmer from Nebraska works on his tractor?
Right?
LB 67 got the attention of big tech companies because it affects the repair of all electronics,
Really?
including smartphones, computers, and of course, tractors.
That
Again, the
should
way the
tell
bill
you
is drafted,
something.
it says that any product that is sold and used in the state of Nebraska. If I'm the big guy, what I do is I just don't sell my products in the state of Nebraska because they have to be sold here. If it's online, I don't sell to anybody who has a zip code in Nebraska. And if I'm a little manufacturer, I move out of the state of Nebraska.
You get lobbyists on occasion.
Jesus Christ. Dude, like, I every day I think I'm aware of how bad this shit is. Did you hear? Let's revise that. Let's revise that.
Sold and
Tractors.
again, the way the bill is drafted, it says that any product that is sold and used in the state of Nebraska. If I'm the big guy, what I do is I just don't sell my products in the state of Nebraska because they have to be sold here. If it's online, I don't sell to anybody who has a zip code in Nebraska. And if I'm a little manufacturer, I move out of the state of Nebraska.
You get lobbyists.
Think of how fucked up that is. Like, you could just totally isolate people, isolate entire states because they decide to enact laws that make things fairer for the consumer. That's fucking ridiculous. So why people should use the battery health app, which circumvents the wear on the battery, but then again, this shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, exactly. Now that you've given me that tip, I'm going to look into that. Know a guy that does battery replacements for retail and an extra $20 worth of labor cost because he does so many of them, it's still profitable to do it for so cheap. That's fucking awesome. Crony capitalism. Yeah, exactly. Piss off from Nebraska then. We don't need you. Go fuck yourself, Apple. Hello, Mari. How you doing, lovely? We have to let people fix their stuff, then I won't sell it to any of you then.
On occasion, but never has anyone flown in to discourage me from introducing a bill. And their points, I believe, were not valid. I don't believe it's valid that this would open a mecca for hackers. They stated their case, they were doing their job, and I believe I'm doing my job in protecting constituents and helping them, to be able to grow economies in our local towns.
I'm
The
installing
bill
that now.
passes, I can go buy this cable instead of building my own, and
Give
I
that a
would be
look.
able to just hook into the data port and be able to get all the information that I need.
That reminds me of that comic of like, what was it? It's like there's a bunch of people sitting around a campfire in the ruins of civilization, and one guy in a worn down suit is like, we destroyed the world, but for a brief time we generated a lot of revenue for shareholders. For a brief, beautiful, fleeting moment in time, we generated a ton of profit or a ton of revenue for shareholders. It's grim. It's fucking grim. It's funny, but it's grim. Good lord. Reminds me of how when servers go down for online games, so they're no longer playable. Yeah, it's a bit like that, I suppose. Yeah. Apple now has it set up that you can't replace any component in their iPhone without Apple software, which is fucked. You can't even use other peripherals with Apple tech.
Right there. I wouldn't have to improvise and build my own stuff to be able to see what's going on.
LB 67, or the Fair Repair Act, is still being held by the Nebraska State Legislature. As of the beginning of 2018, 12 states are considering similar bills. John
Good.
Deere declined our request to visit Nebraska dealerships,
Of course.
but they gave us a statement regarding right to repair.
They gave us a statement. You're not going to read it out? Okay, I'll read it out then. This complicated issue impacts all equipment manufacturers with embedded software in their products. Customers, dealers, and manufacturers should work together on the issue rather than invite government regulation that could add costs with no associated value. Ken Golden, go sit on a cactus, cunt. Anyway, Apple now... Oh, I read that bit. Penis of the plains. What? Yeah, Ken Golden, like I mentioned before, the mantra of the Road Groom. Be kind. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Except Ken Golden, who can go sit on a fucking cactus and ride it. I'm not nice to everyone.
When I see the implement dealers, and you do see them, they're people on your main street, you don't wish them any ill. You wish them success. You want them to continue to serve the community. And I think they can do that as they access or give you access to the technology of the diagnostics.
Add something to the
It's just the diagnostics, folks.
It's really interesting. These older tractors are still capable of going out and doing a day's work. And I wonder, with all the technology we have in the newer tractors, if the same will be true of them when they're that same age.
Swivel on it, cunt. Where's your cat? I want to see the cat. Aww. Where's his cat? It's adorable. It's adorable, and his kids are making fun of him because that's his cat. That's so cute. Oh, gosh. There we go. That's just credits. There we go. What do we think of that? What do we think of that? What are our thoughts? Did you hear cat? There were cats in the video. There were cats. I'm in love with cats. I'm sorry. I'm a simp for cats. Pardon me while I die of respiratory illness. Not that I have one. I've just got a tickly throat. Again. Always with a fucking tickly throat, dude. I've been taking medicine for it. Can you hear the music at all? I'm gonna turn the music up just a crack. Actually, I might take a quick be right back, go take a leak, take some of that medicine, because now my throat is tickling, which I don't think is actually like the usual tickly throat thing. I think I've just like got some, I think I choked on my saliva or something. Anyway, popping in to say hi. How are you, Izzy? I hope you're doing well. Saw your injury. I hope you're alright. Speaking of cats, we love this clip. This is fantastic. Leave. You're not allowed to leave. Look at him. He's adorable. Oh my god. Also, look at like the views on some of these other clips linked down below. Popular clips from Just Chatting. We need to get one of my clips to like 152,000 viewers, for fuck's sake. Anyway, I'll be back in just a moment, folks. Don't go away. Don't go away. What's up, you fuckers? I have returned. As I do. As you do. What's going on, folks? Should we do pronouns? Because I've got to do some kind of video for the YouTube channel for like Friday. I've got to do something for Friday. For the YouTube channel. What should we do? We already did the tractors thing. You have beer and industrial. I've got rosé, which is honestly not as good as the other stuff I had. I liked the white Moscato. The rosé Moscato is kind of like... You notice the silly thing in FF14's abilities for a paladin. What's that? I don't trust paladins anymore after like reading about Gary Gygax and some of the things he was saying about D&D and it's kind of gross. Anyway, at 62 you get a move called Intervention, but at 74 you get Intervene. I might give FF14 a crack at some point because it might be fun, but I'm definitely not subscribing to any MMOs anytime soon. Anywho, what did he say? Let's have a look really quickly. Sexism. There we go. It's mostly sexism. Here's a thing. Here we go. Let's have a look here. So this is from Gary Gygax. Probably something sexist. Gary, I've just asked Frank a question about women in role-playing games back in the early days. It always looks like early on it was a very male-dominated hobby. Did you chaps regularly have many women in your games? While at TSR, did you have any planned or published products that were designed specifically to tempt more women into the game? Potentially a really big market, I'd have thought. For the life of me, I can't see how you'd go about writing such a thing. Let me open this in a new tab so that it's like in the center. There we go. There were never many female gamers in our group. My daughter Elise was one of the 2 original playtesters for the first draft of what became the D&D game. I went to say DBD game. And both of her younger sisters played and lost interest in a few months as she did. In our campaign group that cycled through in a couple of years, 74 to 75, something in the neighborhood of 100 or so different players, there were perhaps 3 females. As a biological determinist... I am positive that most females do not play RPGs because of a difference in brain function. Excuse me. They can play as well as males, but they do not achieve the same sense of satisfaction from playing. In short, there is no special game that will attract females. Other than LARPing, which is more socialization and theatrics and gaming. Excuse me. And it is a waste of time and effort to attempt such a thing. This calls to mind when Lionel made pastel-colored trains and train cars to appeal to females. The effort bombed, the sets were recalled and redone as standard models, and those pastel ones that survived are rare collector's items. So much for this topic. Rolling eyes emoji. Them women, am I right, males? Am I right, fellow men? Cheers, Gary. More female. That's going on a shirt. Anyway, okay, so this was left Gary Gygax, creator of the original D&D, right? Jonathan Tweet, creator of 13th and 3rd edition D&D. So what has he said? Role-playing, as currently construed, appeals disproportionately to guys because it's mostly about the things that men evolved to enjoy, hunting and warfare. Oh, here we go. It's about a group assembling to undertake imaginary risks for glory and dominance. It's the same reason that team sports, let's open it in a new tab so you can see the whole thing, such as basketball, are more male, whereas women compete to be judged beautiful and worthy, ice skating, gymnastics. Why do you think that is? TCGs are even more male-oriented than RPGs as they're about direct conflict with little to no story or personality. When I was in Finland 5 years ago, the TCG players were typified as guys without girlfriends. LARPing has more female appeal because it's more about personalities, relationships, clothing, and makeup. Fuck me dead, dude. Finally, the quality of game men is a factor. A Finnish gamer I met said she got into gaming as a way to meet good-looking guys. The US gaming scene has less to offer along those lines. Fucking hell, dude. I'm not gonna get into D&D. Hell, like, this honestly speaks to toxic masculinity things as well. Like, I mean, obviously it does. Obviously it does. I didn't want to get into LARPing for, like, the idea of LARPing now sounds fucking amazing. Just in general, it sounds so fucking cool and fun. But I never wanted to get into it before because it was so cringy. It's like, why are a bunch of men dressing up in armor and, like, medieval clothing, and then they're, like, doing themselves up in silly-looking war paint, you fucking losers. Be a real man. And nowadays, you know, now that I'm a little bit taking myself less seriously and I'm more comfortable with myself, I want to do some LARPing. I have a sword, which I'm not going to use on anyone. Fennekin, makeup is a female-only thing after all. I mean, like, I've seen some dudes, some men. I've seen some men on this platform, particularly on this platform, who put me to fucking shame. When it comes to makeup, they put me to fucking shame. LARPer, there you go. I bet you it's fun. It sounds fun. I want to give it a crack. It sounds awesome, but lockdown. And also the expense of getting into it. You're all a bunch of neckbeards, you Yanks. Yeah, sure she was serious and not sarcastic, right? She got into gaming. I've seen some males. Ew. It's astounding how awkward I now feel around straight men. I mean, I'm assuming my sister's boyfriend is more than likely straight. He's okay. He seems cool, he seems chill, but broadly speaking, I've noticed there's a bit of an awkwardness around straight men now. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable being around these people all of a sudden. What changed? And feel awkward around straight men. Same, honestly. I think a part of it, honestly, is the fact that I spent so long trying to fit into their niche, and then, oh hello, you're the only straight men that I want to keep around. I don't know if you're straight. You don't have sex, but anyway, he's baby, and now he doesn't want to be here anymore. What are you doing? I guess, like, in a way, I think I've always been uncomfortable around straight men. I think I just made myself think I was comfortable because a lot of the time, I distinctly remember being in situations where I'm like, I'm around other men. Why do I still feel like I'm not comfortable? Like, these are the kind of people I should be comfortable around, right? These are the people I should be feeling like I can relate to, and yet there's the girls over there and I kind of just want to go hang out with them. Because, I don't know. Don't lick my wine glass. Cannot afford to take you to the hospital because you got alcohol poisoning. Don't you dare. But yeah, I'm now realizing that whole thing. So the reason you wanted to hang out with the girls is because you are one, you dumb bitch. Gonna spam that several times tonight. Please do. While he sits there cleaning himself. Would we get an Abigail IRL stream with me LARPing? Ideally. First thing I would like to do, if I can get into IRL streams, which is a huge expense, which is probably not going to happen anytime soon, unless I get a really good job, which is not going to happen. First thing I would do would be, like, go out somewhere public after lockdown. Just, like, go out, hang out somewhere with friends. I don't know. Go hang out at, like, a coffee shop or go to an arcade or whatever it is and just hang out and do a stream that way. Then I would like to get my skateboard out and try skateboarding streams. I think that'd be fun. And then, yeah, after that, there could be stuff like, what's it called? There could be stuff like LARPing and all that if it ever becomes a reality. But the issue there is, of course, money. It's always money. The issue with any of these kind of things, like, I would like to do a bunch of IRL stuff, but the issue always comes down to I can't afford it, generally speaking. Had me at latex, oh my. Get you over to the UK, I'll send you the details of the events you go to. Also meet you in person at a weekend of latex, leather, roleplay, and hitting people for fun. That's nice. I want to hit people for fun. Mostly it's she's cute, but I'm in no position to speak with her physically or mentally. Yes, someone said latex. We're now talking latex. Let's talk latex. Or not. I don't know. Do what you want. Just abide by TOS. That's all I ask. Anyway. Hit me for fun, Abigail. I wanted to bring this up really quickly. So we wanted to discuss this. Alright, let me just stream market this, because I did want this to be a topic, right? This is not. Let me think for a sec. Let me get my head together. I should have wrote some notes, but I didn't. Anyway. This is a thing that I saw. We're going to do pronouns discourse. This is not specifically related, but I did want to address this first off the bat because we deal with the attack helicopter thing so fucking much, right? Okay. So, the attack helicopter thing. This is unironically based. If you identify as an attack helicopter, I will think that's tight as fuck. I dare you to tell me a person who unironically identifies as an attack helicopter isn't going to be one of the sickest motherfuckers around. I want to smoke a blunt with the legend whose neo pronouns are AH64, right? Because we hear the oh, I identify as an attack helicopter. It's like, do you really? What's that experience like for you? You know, I want to know what your life is like, identifying as an attack helicopter. What's your deal? What's your situation identifying as an attack helicopter? What's your life like that? Next time somebody comes at me with that kind of joke, I want to treat it genuinely, you know? Excuse me. And we were so close to greatness. Why? What's wrong with 64? Oh, 69? Probably. Anyway. Bring Kinners into the mainstream. But anyway, that's not what I really wanted to talk about. This is a thing that came up recently on social media. You know Doe, I'm sure. Its pronouns are platforming harmful language, apparently, because that's what those words definitely mean. These people are just regurgitation machines with no analysis. It's so disappointing. So, what this person means, right? Using slurs for pronouns, I'm not sure. How far back does this go? And this person has just been quote tweeted and quote tweeted and quote tweeted. So, oh yeah, this is where it started. This is where it started. Sorry. So, Gammy encouraging people to refuse to use my name. The DGG, which is the Destiny community, is so full of so many wonderful people. By this logic, people who prefer their name to be shortened to Cat or Cat similarly shouldn't be respected. So, Cat users, look out. You're next on the chopping block. I'm not sure what that means. Oh yeah, why are you calling them Doe? Don't indulge there. That's supposed to say delusions. Call them that or no name if they don't go by that anymore. That's the thing. You can change your name. Anybody can change their name, and you should respect somebody's name if they change it. And by the way, this is transphobia, and it's absolutely right here. It's absolutely right here. I feel like I've already misgendered it. I'm sorry. I'm still working on the it pronouns, but that's what we're going to discuss tonight. Honestly, that's why I'm trying to wrap my head around this. And also just to get this into the discourse sphere. This is transphobia. Dead naming is transphobia. They all want to hide it by calling me any number of things I've never identified as because they just want to harm people. It's their only motive. It's Destiny's motive and it's his community's motive. I don't know much about Destiny. I don't care for him, generally speaking. So I recently just clicked on his profile and said, on YouTube that is, and said, do not recommend this channel to me ever again. Because I've seen enough Destiny to decide that I don't want to hear from him. So this person goes, fuck the dead naming official Gammy, which, yeah, fuck that. But also fuck the it's transphobia. And this is the point that I want to note. Doe goes by it pronouns. Surprised it isn't green on Shinigami. I've noticed on Firefox there's a lot of people that were green on Chrome that are not on Firefox. I had to reset mine to green on Firefox because I wasn't on there. So it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, like, it's not transphobia to call Doe it, right? Because those are its pronouns. That's what it's decided works best for it. That's what, well, it's not even really a decision, it's an identity. And if I'm not mistaken, Doe is the one that had the discussion around, was it Doe or was it Bunny or was it somebody had the discussion around, if you choose to be transgender or you choose to be gay or you choose to be gender fluid or any of those things, like, actually make the decision. There should be no issue with that. That's my stance as well. Like, whether we believe that being trans is not a choice, whether being gay is not a choice, it's something that's innate and it's something that we figure out after we, put all the pieces together, If there is someone out there that makes the decision to be trans and makes the decision of their own pronouns, actively, they say, these are my pronouns, this is what I am deciding everyone has to refer to me as. That is still something we should respect about that person's identity, no matter what, because it literally does not negatively affect anyone in any meaningful way. And yeah, like the reason I'm getting around to the point now. The reason that it's probably in this person's eyes and in the eyes of a few other people who aren't terribly informed in the discussion, the reason some people think it and its pronouns are transphobic is because transphobes have often referred to transgender people as it. They dehumanize us by saying that thing, it, you disgusting, gross thing, abomination, it. Like they'll use that kind of thing. But in the context of what Doe has done here, by choosing those pronouns, by preferring its pronouns, do you folks realize that the technical pronoun terminology for animals that are not humans is it? Now, Doe looks like this. Doe's got this vibe, which honestly I totally just love, for the record. But I suspect that may have been the reason it chose those pronouns. Because technically, this is an it. I refer to him as he because he's, biologically male. But you're an it. You're supposed to refer to pets as it. Apparently, he doesn't like that. Now I'm misgendering you. You know who you are. You know you're a he. But according to English language bullshit, you're supposed to refer to pets and animals as it, right? And Doe has decided that those pronouns fit it perfectly, which is fine. There's no problem with that. And if you are transgender, or if you're a trans ally, or if you're a respectable human being, generally speaking, that's what this comes down to, is respectability politics. You should just be able to look at someone's pronouns and... Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. You should just be able to acknowledge a person's pronouns and identity without making it a thing. And this is related to the discussion, this tweet that I posted today. Say you've got a coworker. She's a woman, but a bit butch. This is throwing back to the Maya Forstater thing. So she's a bit butch, right? You don't know if she's cis or trans. I didn't add that context here. But you start referring to her as a man and give her a male nickname. You get reprimanded for it under threat of termination. Why should it be any different if that woman is trans? Right? So if you are in the workplace and you meet someone who might be a clockable trans person, it happens. Some people do not pass terribly well. But let's just say I introduce you to Judy. And I say, Judy here is going to be working with you. She's got a tremendous range of skills in this area. She's a good worker. She's got great recommendations. And you look at Judy and you think, she's not wearing any makeup. She's got a bit of a square face, a bit of a heavy eyebrow. She keeps her hair short. She's wearing like a polo shirt, jeans and boots. She looks a bit rough around the edges. She's a bit big and bit tough. And you think it's fucking hilarious to start making fun of her by saying she's mannish when she's clearly a woman, and it's been illustrated to you that she's a woman. In any other work environment, in any other environment in general, if you start referring to that person as he and him, and you start calling Judy Jerry, that's considered harassment, that's considered abusive. So I don't know why it's any different. Like I said before, throwing back to the Maya Forstater thing, people who have their little biological imperatives, biological essentialists about pronouns. I do my best. I admit sometimes I don't pass terribly well. Total Twiggy, welcome to the Road Group. I admit I don't pass terribly well all the time. Sometimes I'm probably clockable as a male. I don't like that fact. And I do my best to get around it, but I present as feminine as I possibly can. So when I am, either if I'm in the room or if I'm out of the room, I should be able to expect that you should respect me as a woman and refer to me as she and her when I'm out of sight, out of mind, and when I'm there in the conversation with you. Nested parenthetical. Did I pronounce that correctly? Welcome to the Rogan. How you doing? UK turf philosophers have been vocal that such treatment of a butch cis woman is an acceptable... Please tell me you're kidding. Shay, have you got a link? Have you got a source? Please tell me you got a source to that. Oh my... You're kidding me. And that's exactly the problem, right? We've talked about this exact issue before, how the treatment of transgender women in bathroom, private spaces and all that, harassing non-passing trans women, harassing women who look gender non-conforming in those private women's spaces is going to lead to gender non-conforming women, cisgender women, I keep doing that, cisgender women, gender non-conforming cisgender women in those same spaces facing harassment, and in the workplace, and in anywhere. It's going to lead to them facing harassment. And it comes back to the lesbian thing, comes back to the dyke movement and all that kind of thing. Where, you know, back when it was just lesbianism, being a lesbian was a dirty word. It was considered something that was acceptable to slur someone for if they were gender non-conforming. If it was a woman who had short hair, didn't have much in the way of breasts, broad shoulders, more of like a fridgy body shape, I don't know, anything. If she's wearing man clothes, all of a sudden, she's mannish, she's butch, she's a lesbian, she's a dyke, she's, you know, they dehumanize a woman who is a woman. Or he does cis women are dragged out of toilets in America. Exactly. Why is this acceptable? Why are people's identities not allowed to just be respected regardless of if they present according to your social conventions or not? And yeah, the pronouns thing is like the most basic level of this. It's the most basic level of common human decency you can show somebody, is to respect their identity and refer to them as they should be referred, not as how they prefer to be referred, mind you. I have a bit of an issue with the preferred pronouns term. She and her are not my preferred pronouns. They're my pronouns. And let's analyze this for a second. Let's clarify this for a second. I hate that I have to do this particular lesson, because if I were a teacher and you were my class and you were my students, I'd be teaching you this shit in like 2nd grade. I'd be teaching you how to use pronouns in 2nd grade, but there are people who still don't get their head around this. You know? There are more pronouns than just he, him, she, her, they, them, it, its, etc. The only part that I struggle with, like, who mentioned before the neo-pronouns thing? I do struggle with the neo-pronouns thing still. Getting those is tricky. However, getting pronouns if they are not neo-pronouns, if they're regular pronouns, I'm pretty good at nailing those down. There's an Ask a Manager post about a remarried woman who had a co-worker who refused to refer to her with her new surname because she didn't recognize her divorce. Are you serious? That's disgusting. Exactly. Just call people what they asked to be called, or you're a giant flame. Yeah, exactly. It is absolutely an unequivocal asshole move if you just decide to dismiss someone's identity because you're not comfortable with it. So you were hanging out in a different stream when I started, and they have a redeem to shout out for yourself or someone else. And I saw you go live, so you did a redeem for your stream. And one of their mods, who uses she, her pronouns, was like, is Abby trans like me? And I was like, yep, she is. I'm drinking a bit of rosé tonight. A bit of rosé. It actually tastes a little bit better than it did last night. Maybe it's because I was drinking the white Moscato first, and then I switched to this, which is a bit sharper. It's a bit more stern in its flavor. So I think when you drink something sweet, especially alcohol, what you drink after the fact, if it's a little bit more tart, I suppose, the flavor is accentuated by that. Sound like a fucking sommelier. Anyway. French for smeller. Anyway. Can't find it at the moment. The original post was quickly removed, so it's trying to find the screenshots that were made. Pretty sure it was Kathleen Stuck. Is that who I'm thinking of? I know that's Kathleen, unless it's Kathleen or Kathleen or something. It was like, is this that representation thing? Seeing another trans person streaming has to be validating or something? I think it is. I do try to, and like this is a moment that I want to share with you folks. That I think I feel weird about this. Stock. Okay, I say Stock. Kathleen Stock. Okay. This is a moment I want to share with you folks. I was out at a social event a little while back. Masked up because, you know, public place, lots of people, and there was someone there, and they were dressed in very feminine clothing, but they were very broad and very tall, and some of their features, from what I could see behind the mask, were fairly masculine. And we both caught each other. We both, like, not caught each other, we both looked at each other in the eyes, and there was just this moment of like, how do you do, fellow trans? Like, I could see a smile from behind the mask as they looked at me. Like, they noticed. They clocked me, and I think I clocked them. And I feel bad. Like, what if I got this wrong? What if I read this conversation... not conversation. What if I read this interaction incorrectly, and they're not trans? But there was just this moment of, like, psychic connection. It's like, you're like me. We are the same spirit, you and I. Anyways. It was interesting. I've never had an experience like that since. But, you know, I like meeting trans folks. I haven't met many trans folks off the internet. I don't think I've met any, actually. Aside from that one interaction and meeting... Oh, well, I've met Jordan Raskopoulos. Aside from those interactions, I don't think I've ever actually had a meaningful, long interaction with a transgender person outside myself. But then again, that speaks to the idea of, like, how would you tell? You know, how would you know? If you were... Like, that's the thing, right? We talk about how some people think they can clock a trans person all the time. Well, you can't. That's provable. You know, there are plenty of trans folks that I can't tell are trans. Most of your IRL trans friends are trans mask or NBs. I'm hoping once lockdown is up, I might actually get to go to like a trans meetup group or something. That'd be really fun. I'd like to meet some new trans friends who I can hang out with. I've already got plans to meet at least one person for coffee, so that's fun. There we go. I've met at least one trans person online who I'm going to meet up with for coffee. That'll be fun. Sitting there with a Bi Pride bracelet on, and this person walked past me with a Bi Pride shirt and bracelet. They smiled at me and lifted their hand to show the bracelet, and I did the same as they walked by. There you go. Nicely done. Nicely done. Meaningful little hi, I'm also bi moment. It's cute. Excuse me. That's what we want, right? We want that connection. We want to connect to people like us. That's all we want. That's all I want here as well. You know, I want this to be a space where generally queer folks can come and congregate and hang out and have a good time, because like we've mentioned in the past, queer folks generally tend to gravitate towards one another because we have a lot of the same experiences of being harassed for being queer in the first place. And I am, you know, very rapidly realizing this after coming out just shy of 12 months ago. You gonna shoot off, Izzy? Have a good one. Thank you so kindly for hanging. Gonna have some more fails with... It's Udex. I think it's a capital I, not an L. Not that it matters. Judge Gundir. I believe his name means Judge Gundir. Unless Gundir means something else, but Udex, I'm pretty sure, is a translation for judge. If I recall correctly. Yeah. Udex, in Roman civil process with its division into two stages, before the magistrate in iure and before the judge apud iudicem. The Udex was a private person taken from the higher social classes who was appointed to conduct the hearing in the second stage. So there we go. Can be said as Judex. Anyway, Judge Guardian, there you go. Perfect. Nicely done. We've nailed it down. Hello, Emma. How's it going? Hope you're well. Hope you're doing good. My realization I will mention before coming out. Mentioned after coming out. Wait, what do you mean? You conflated two posts. Yeah, what do you... I'm confused now. Draco, what do you mean? So you conflated two posts. One about a manager who refused to change a newly married person's name in the system. Another where a trans man kept getting dead name started using the dead name as maiden name. Okay, here we go. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh my god, how long... Oh my god, this is very, very long. And detailed. And what's this one? Oh my word, okay. Let's just, we won't read the response. But anyway, trying to refresh your memory of what you talked about. Oh, I've forgotten now. See you again soon, Izzy. Thank you so kindly for hanging out. So, Cat, you're in the way. Look at him. There's not even any heat emanating from that. Why are you sitting on the keyboard? Here. Sit on my lap. Sit on my lap. There we go. Okay, so, let's read this. Arita writes, I have managed John, a transgender man, for about 2 years. John does not keep his transgender status a secret, but he also doesn't go out of his way to tell people. So some people know and some don't. Lizzie recently transferred to a department that works closely with ours. She previously did not know that John was trans, but now that she's interacting with him much more often, she's found out. At first, she didn't seem to have an issue with it, but then she discovered some articles he'd published while still going by Sally. Oh, I hope that's a fake dead name. Anyway. And now she insists on calling him Sally. She claims that she has no problem with trans people, but she feels it's important to call John by the name he was given at birth out of respect for his mother. John's mother does not work for our company, and to the best of my knowledge, she and Lizzie have never met. Why is she giving more respect to his mother that she's never met than for John? Do I know which country is the real-life Atlantis? Oysterreich. What? Pet the kitty. He fucked off. The moment I put him on my lap, he fucked off. Said something about realizing something. I've forgotten. I'll come back to it. I'll rejig my memory in a minute. John and I have both asked her to stop, but she refuses. On John's request, I've also gone to her manager, but Lizzie has a very domineering personality, and her manager avoids confrontation. So I don't think he's said anything to her. Not only is Lizzie's insistence on dead naming John offensive, it is confusing because... I just realized John is in quotes, by the way. In German, Austria in German is Österreich. Okay, I get you. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't make sense in English. Anyway, not only is Lizzie's insistence on dead naming John offensive, it is confusing because many people don't understand who she's talking about when she mentions Sally. I've tried casually correcting her in the moment as if I thought she was making a mistake, and John has outright refused to answer to the name Sally, but she keeps saying that it's disrespectful to his mother to use a name she didn't choose for him. Where the fuck does this shit come from? People are allowed to change their names. We're allowed to change our names. Whether you're trans or cis, what the fuck? John complained to HR, but they said that because she is not explicitly harassing him for being trans, she is, they can't do anything. For the record, our state did not consider being LGBT a protected class, though from what I understand, the Supreme Court ruling should have changed that. John has now started exclusively calling Lizzie Elizabeth. There is another Elizabeth in the office, and if there's any confusion over which Elizabeth he's talking about, John uses Lizzie's maiden name rather than her married name. Lizzie hates this and has complained to him, me, and half the office, but he says that it's out of respect for her mother. Honestly, I think this is hilarious and kind of want to start doing it too, but I feel that as a manager I shouldn't encourage John to deliberately antagonize Lizzie, even though she started it, and definitely shouldn't join in. Excuse me. However, it does seem extremely unfair to tell John that not only does he have to put up with Lizzie using his dead name, he has to use her preferred name. Do I have to tell John to knock it off? Is there anything more I should do about Lizzie? Fire the bitch. Austria in America is Schwarzenegger land. Australia's greatest export. Ah, yes. I can just imagine like Arnold Schwarzenegger doing something like, throw a couple ship on the Barbie, mate. You've got to shock the muscle, bros. Oos. She isn't harassing him for being trans. She is explicitly misgendering him. Sally is a girl's name. John is a boy's name. John is John's name, not Sally. I know it's silly to gender names, but honestly, in this circumstance, it's ludicrous for your HR department. I'm going to read the answer anyway. It's ludicrous for your HR department to say that Lizzie isn't harassing John for being trans when clearly she is. Anyone who even has a passing familiarity with the ways in which trans people get harassed knows exactly what this is. You're right about the recent Supreme Court ruling that discrimination based on gender identity is illegal. But even aside from that, what's up with your company refusing to intervene when an employee is refusing to call another employee by his proper name? It sounds like there's an agenda here. How high up have you gone in HR? If you can go higher, do, because it's possible someone will overrule whoever told you that. Point out the recent court ruling and point out that the company is opening itself to legal liability by refusing to protect John from Lizzie's harassment. You should also go back to Lizzie's manager and push the issue again. You said he prefers to avoid confrontation, and often the best approach to people like this is to make not acting the more unpleasant option for them. So be pushy, be loud, and keep following up. Have you talked to Lizzie yet? This is still a problem. When will you be talking to Lizzie? What Lizzie is doing is unacceptable. Can you call her in right now and we'll both speak to her, etc., etc. Keep up the pressure until he does his job. You owe that to John. Vegemite. Hello, Vanna. How are you going? Get in the ute if you want to live. I don't know if I could do a proper Arnie. 90% of the problems on Ask a Manager boil down to your manager needs to do their fucking job. You also said you've been casually correcting Lizzie when you hear her dead naming John as if she's been making an innocent mistake. Stop giving her that cover. Call it out more honestly. Lizzie, you've been told repeatedly to stop calling John that. Why are you continuing to do it? If she trots out her ridiculous line about respecting John's mother, then say John's name is not up to you. You are being disrespectful and embarrassing yourself and you need to stop. Really, like, why the respecting the mother thing? I really just do not understand that argument. Like, the mother is nowhere in the scenario at all. The mother is not related to the scenario in any circumstance. Like, I don't get that. I do not get that argument. That's a non-argument. That's not a thing you can say. As for John calling Lizzie Elizabeth and using her maiden name out of respect for her mother, well, it's pretty brilliant. If your company says it's okay with what Lizzie is doing, then surely this is the logical conclusion. It would be tremendously unfair for you to tell John he has to stop while Lizzie gets to continue harassing him. Let Lizzie experience some well-deserved consequences of her actions. Well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of your own actions. But that's not enough. Amusing as John's handling of it is, you need to keep pushing with HR, with Lizzie's manager, with anyone else with appropriate authority here, because you can't let an employee be repeatedly harassed on your watch. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, this is, yeah, it's exactly, blah, 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 blah. This is exactly what I was talking about before. This is the same scenario, and then there's another one here we can talk about in a moment. This is the same scenario that I was talking about before, where, you know, if you get introduced to, like, this is exactly the hypothetical I posed on Twitter, you know, and on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. Type ! TikTok and go follow @theAbigailBeck on TikTok. I'm putting TikToks up now. Go watch them, because I think I'm entertaining in little bite-sized snippets. Go watch me on TikTok. Do it now, or I'll insult your mother. But I'm your mother. I'm your stream mum now, wearing my mum t-shirt, and my mum jeggings, and my mum sneakers. I'm on TikTok. Yeah, I'm cringe now. Anyway, what was I saying? This is exactly the same hypothetical that I posed on Twitter, where you're introduced to an entirely new person, yet based on your own preconceptions, you decide to refer to them by a different name and pronouns because you're an asshole. It's an asshole thing, and it is absolutely abuse and harassment. Don't do it. Respect people's identity. It is very, very basic. The only reason, like you mentioned here, Alice, the argument is irrelevant. It's just a cover for bigotry. Exactly.
Enjoy your membership.
Says Gifall, thank you so kindly for the tier 1, you legend. Thank you for being kind. Trying to straighten that out. Thank you for being kind. Please enjoy the subscriber lounge. We've got Moscato. Sorry, we've got Rosé. We don't have Moscato. The appeal to the mother thing is the usual turf mental gymnastics that they do to convince themselves that they're not bigots. Absolutely. It's just a Mumsnet thing. Mums are the audience, and people's way of life and protecting mothers' rights, etc. is playing to the audience. Oh yeah. Bingo. Exactly. And like, this is the thing. This is where it becomes tricky. You can bring your own whiskey. It's a BYO subscriber lounge. Absolutely. Hell yes. This is where it gets tricky. And they know this is a bit of a a gotcha. Bit of a slip people up. The moment you start saying, well, the mother's not relevant, what's the mother got to do with this? All of a sudden, you're an anti-feminist because you're disparaging the mother in the scenario. But the mother's not related to anything. But by insisting that the mother has no part in this, the mother plays no role in this circumstance, you know, you and I, if you are referring to me by my dead name and by my dead pronouns, you are insulting me. Has nothing to do with respecting my mother. You're insulting me. But the moment I say that you're not respecting my mother in that scenario, the other party, the oppositional party in this circumstance, get to say, what, do you hate your mother? Do you hate women? I am a woman, for the record. Like, that's what it turns into. And all of a sudden, they think they have the high ground. They think they have the righteous path in this scenario. They think they're taking the moral high ground. Because they're the one saying, oh, I respect women. I respect mothers. But you don't. You know. How about we show respect to the parents by showing respect to their children, right? Exactly. Respect my mother's child, which is me. So by showing disrespect to my mother's child, me, you are therefore showing disrespect to my mother in that circumstance. At least that's the point I would argue, because my mother actually fucking loves me. Shocking. Some people clearly don't have loving parents. Correct, Sebs. I am all of the women. I am a woman. I am women. I am all of the women. We are legion, for we are many. Here I am, spending so much time off stream, trying to practice my voice. I spent a good, 15 minutes or so. I mean, I was practicing my voice while I was alone doing my own things as well, doing a bit of voice training, trying to figure out myself. And then I get on stream and it all just goes out the window, it feels like. Anyway, whatever. On the be kind thing, what have you got? What do you got for me? Be rootin', be tootin', and by God be shootin'. Most of all, be kind. Hang on. Here I am on stream doing Arnie impressions. Heck yes. Heck yes. Okay. This one's a really long one. I don't know. We'll just like glance at the top bit. My boss won't accept my new married name, telling an interviewer that the job isn't realistic and more. It's a bit hefty though. I think we'll scrap that one. The other one's really relevant, especially like this is about married names. The other one was about misgendering. So yeah, very relevant there. Very pertinent information. Best friend is transitioning. She's staying with me, and I'm trying to convince her parents that they haven't lost their son. They never had one. They've just gained an amazing daughter. Aww. I'm still not sure. Like my parents are okay with it. That one isn't really relevant. It's okay though. Thank you though. Thank you for linking it. It's tricky. I would totally understand if my daughter wanted to transition or my son wanted to transition. Like I would get it. And like as of right now, they are my son and daughter, respectively. But sorry, I keep bumping my desk. If they wanted to transition, I'd get it because obviously I'm trans. I understand. But a lot of people are raised into an environment where they don't. These concepts are completely elusive to them. Elusive as in E-L-U-S-I-V-E, not elusive. I-double-L. Fox, have a good night. Have a good rest. We'll come back to Quakerism in a minute. I've heard a little bit about it. I don't know much about it. Hello, Peachy. How you going? It's going well here. I'm being mum tonight. I'm everybody's mum tonight. I've got my little mum bandana, my mum t-shirt, my mum jeans. Look, I'm mum tonight. I hope I can be a good mum to you folks and raise you the right way, the way you deserve to be raised. Okay? The way you deserve to be treated. You're my children and I love you and I'm proud of you. Okay? So it's tricky when I imagine for most folks who have got a very binary view of gender, who associate gender with sex, who think the two are inseparable, and who think there are only men and women in society, it would be very difficult for them to come to terms with the fact that their child has decided that they were, they were one thing before, but now they're something else. But the reality is, like you've mentioned there, they haven't lost their son. They never had one, right? That's a very pertinent point. Somebody, what was it? Yeah, my best friend recently, I keep saying my best friend. I've got numerous best friends. One of my best friends recently said to me, like I said, I made the joke to her, like I've made to a bunch of people that I've met after coming out. I said, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. I like saying that when I'm catching up with someone face to face for the first time since coming out. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. And while me and my best friend were drinking, there was a whole moment where I was sort of like reminiscing on before I came out and all that. And she puts her hand on my shoulder and says, "You've always been Abby." And that struck me in the heart like nothing else. I cannot tell you how that made me feel. It was just like, okay. I mean, you're right. You're entirely correct. I was always Abby, and that person that you've mentioned, your best friend, they were always the daughter. They were always a girl. But they were convinced and coerced by their parents and by society around them to just live in that role that they've been given. They were never, allowed the opportunity to fully express themselves. And now they are expressing themselves. And their parents don't understand it because they've never been exposed to that kind of thing. Like you've said, both the parents are Russian immigrants, so they've never been exposed to the situation. And they may not be a lost cause. There are a lot of people who are stuck in this mindset of there's only boys and girls. My boy could never be a girl, and yada, yada, yada. It sounds like if you're trying to convince them that they may be open to the idea of learning. I may be wrong, I may be incorrect, they may be total bigots. I hope not. But that's my goal, right, is to educate people and to say, look, this is how I am, this is how other people are. Maybe they are open to the idea of changing their mind and understanding, and I hope so. The public universal friend was a Quaker. Excuse me. I do recall reading about the Public Universal Friend. Really interesting story. They were an agendered person, weren't they? Were they agender? Yeah, or like non-gendered. For fuck's sake. Not the Permanent University Fund. That's not what I wanted. Public Universal Friend was an American preacher born in Cumberland, Rhode Island to Quaker parents. So what is Quakerism? We'll read about Quakerism in a second. After suffering a severe illness in 1776, the Friend claimed to have died and been reanimated as a genderless evangelist named the Public Universal Friend, and afterwards shunned both birth name and gendered pronouns. In androgynous clothes, the Friend preached throughout the northeastern United States, attracting many followers who became the Society of Universal Friends. Aww. The Public Universal Friend's theology was broadly similar to that of most Quakers. The Friend stressed free will, opposed slavery, and supported sexual abstinence. Ew. On that last part. Yes to opposing slavery. Yes to free will. Ew to sexual abstinence. The most committed members of the Society of Universal Friends were a group of unmarried women who took leading roles in their households and community. In the 1790s, members of the Society acquired land in western New York, where they formed the township of Jerusalem near Peniel, New York. The Society of Universal Friends ceased to exist by the 1860s. Many writers have portrayed the Friend as a woman and either a manipulative fraudster or a pioneer for women's rights. Others have viewed the preacher as transgender or non-binary and a figure in trans history. I mean, non-binary is technically, I would say non-binary is its own umbrella term, right? Correct? Which would cover stuff like agender, which it seems like they are. They're like genderless. That's one of the plot points in Moby Dick. Ahab was a Quaker but sought vengeance. Her father is fine, think he got it from the get-go. Well, that's good. Her mum is giving some issues, won't listen to anything. Well, maybe the dad could definitely be the leverage that you need there to convince her. You know, if dad gets it, it should be easier because, you know, well, you would hope it would be easier for dad to convince her. It's like, this is our daughter. Manipulative fraudster. They had Trumps in those days. But the Puff wasn't one of them. The Puff wasn't a Trump. Yeah, NB covers anything outside the strict male-female binary. Transition dad. Okay, so Quakers. Let's have a look at Quakers. I haven't really looked much at Quakerism. We're just using Wikipedia because I'm lazy. There's probably better resources than this. And there was a video I watched. Actually, let me just see my YouTube channel, because there was a really good video I watched by a person that I just subscribed to. Was it Rowan Ellis? The problem with Google is free activism. The idea of it's not my job to educate you. We might not watch it, but this video here, the problem with Google is free activism, right? And this helped change my mind a bit about what we do here. In particular, like, I really want to move away from that idea of, like, expecting certain questions to be sea lining. And just say, like, if somebody asks a question that seems particularly invasive or disrespectful or whatever, perhaps a bit too in the vein of private or like I've mentioned, rather than attacking the person asking those kinds of questions, we could try to address them as something that we could open the door to a discussion around that thing. You know, which is not always going to work. Some people are definitely bad faith arguers. They may not be malicious, they may just be a dweeb, exactly. They may be socially awkward and not understand how to phrase a question properly. So I'm going to take that approach now. I'm going to come down hard on you moderators. I am. Because I've noticed certain people have asked questions that I want to answer, and some of you have definitely just banned someone outright for asking a certain question. And I don't want that to become my reputation as a streamer. Sorry to be rude, mods. But I do want to call that kind of thing out. I do want to make it known. Anyways, where were we? That is a good video. That's Rowan Ellis. For anyone who is curious, go subscribe to Rowan Ellis and watch this video. The problem with Google is free activism. It's really good. Ease up on the bans. Yeah, I don't want this to become ban central because, yeah, like I mentioned, I want to be able to educate people. If we can do it. And there's another good thing that I read recently. Let me see if I can find it. Where did I save it? This thing. is incredible. I love this tweet. One of the best things a teacher ever did for me was say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll do some research. It modeled a more honest intellectual discourse. You don't have to pretend like you know everything. You don't always need to have or share an immediate opinion. I really want this to become a bit of a mantra. Not a mantra, but like a bit of a mindset around here. Like, I don't know everything. But if someone asks me a question that maybe relates to trans things, queer things, anything, I would rather than dismiss it, take that as an opportunity to educate all of us, if we can. If that kind of thing crops up, I'd like to take that avenue of, let's focus on, we'll all learn together. I don't know the answer to that question, but we can do some research. We got the stream here. We're live now. We could, do the whole thing. Sorry, it's getting hot. Let's get this off. Show the guns off. Who wants to redeem a flex right now? I bet someone wants to redeem a flex right now. I bet somebody's thinking, oh, I've been sitting my hand on that flex button. Been sitting my hand on that flex button right there, and I want to redeem a flex. Head pat, that'll do. Ooh. Thank you for the head pats. And how about this one? Oh, you can't see my lats flared there. I can't take my top off. I'm wearing a bra, but I can't technically take my top off. Get flipped off. There you go, Eggberry. Enjoy that one. And for the record, folks, if you like my little trans pride ring, type ! ring in chat. Go buy a ring from Outer Peace Gear. They are absolutely amazing people. I'm treating them like they sponsor me, but they don't. I just love the ring. It's so good. It's so fucking good. This is one of the first things I purchased when I came out as trans. I'm like, I need a subtle transgender pride ring. Because it's like, I could just wear this and no one really necessarily questions it. But if somebody spots it, they might notice. They might see it and they'll be like, oh, hang on, I see what's going on here. I get ya. Oh, goodness me. Oh, and I have, I'm really honestly trying to, on the subject of sponsorships, I don't expect an Etsy store to sponsor me. But I am interested in like looking at some avenues to approach different brands to try to get some sort of sponsorships. Mildly inspired by Pinoppy last night talking about how she's sponsored by Oodie now. Because I want a free Oodie. They're fucking cool, but by the same token, and I'll give you a regular flex too, because why not? There we go. There's the biceps. On the subject, I'm kind of thinking like I need to look at sponsorships for the stream. I need to look at different ideas for sponsorships. Who could I hit up for a sponsorship? An actual sponsorship. What's a brand or a product I could look into? I've already mentioned I want to get sponsored by like a nutrient brand, but I don't know who I would reach out to. Like protein supplements and stuff. But the thing is there, I'm not like an athlete, I'm just buff. I'm just a buff girl. I'm not particularly sporty. And sup brands require athletes. Microsoft, Raid Shadow Legends. I mean, it could happen. Raycon. There's a lot of streamers sponsored by Oodie, which means they're likely to do it, is the thing that I'm getting at. I could get a free Oodie. That's all I care about. I just want free stuff, so I don't have to buy it myself. Surfshark, that's an idea. Razer, that's actually not a bad one, yeah. Corsair. My keyboard's Corsair. Do you reckon I could hit up Corsair? Glasses USA. How tall is Abby? Prior to transition, I was 178 centimeters. I have not measured myself since. Hit up Joe Rogan for a brain pill sponsorship. I keep forgetting he does the does he do the brain pills, or is that fucking Alex Jones? Makeup, that's an idea. Clothes, makeup, yeah. I'm trying to think like what clothing brands could I look into. That'd be a good idea actually. Clothing brands, because I love clothes. I do. I adore different outfits. You know, you've seen me put on different outfits on stream. I love dressing up. I'd love to have an association with a clothing brand. Preferably an ethically sourced one, but you know, I'll take what I can get. And yeah, like makeup would be a good one. I wonder if there are like indie makeup brands that are looking for people to promote their brand. I'd take some free makeup products. My Look, I'm just saying, My Pillow's kind of shit. How do I feel about a sex toy sponsorship? Probably can't promote sex toys on stream is the problem. What I got at... Is that supposed to say Sephora? That's 7 letters. Sephora's 7 letters. And I've heard Sephora is actually pretty unethical. I don't know. No one streamer who does? Oh, okay. I mean, the problem there is if I do a sex toy plug sponsorship. Plug sponsorship, that's redundant. I'm like... I've said this before, I'm basically asexual at this point. I do crave like a relationship and intimacy and stuff, but I'm basically... My sex drive's dead. I don't have a use for sex toys. Full disclosure, I bought some sex toys probably right around the time I was coming out, or right around the time I was self-discovering, and once I started HRT, collecting dust. Useless. There's a bottle of lube in there that's doing nothing. My Pillow's a garbage pillow. I think My Pillow is bamboo. What I got at insert store of the week. Oh, okay. Hello, Synthwave. How you doing? Don't have to use the toys. I know, but it feels disingenuous if I'm not using the product, is what I mean. That's what I'm getting at. This is why, again, like, I'd get back into using supplements if there was a brand willing to work with me to supply me supplements that I could show them off on stream. Like proteins. So I'm going to contact other brands and just be like, look, I'm a streamer. I do have a bit of a fitness thing. And I think we're going to bring Workout Wednesday back tomorrow, but we're going to discuss fitness. We're not going to actually do a fitness. But tomorrow we are going to talk about fitness and diet and all these kind of things. Personally suggest Verilas. Let me have a look at that. Abby OnlyFans, where it's just me promoting either promoting sex toys or promoting fitness supplements. Okay, Verilas. Oh, look at this. Oh my, look at these boots, dude. Fuck me dead. Hell yeah. Oh, I think this is the same brand. Oh my god, look at the price on the fuckers. I think this is the brand that... What's her name? What's her name? You know who I mean. The girl that wears the Tabi boots. What's her name? Somebody knows who her name. Tip of my tongue. What's her fucking name? Transgender streamer, friend of Jim Sterling. What's her fucking name? Fitness sex toys? Yes, absolutely. Casey Explosion, that's the one. She wears Tabi boots. And I think she gets them from here. If I'm not mistaken, she has advertised Tabi boots from Verilas before. Fucking cool. The tunic. Oh my god, I just fell in love. Look at it. Look at that's actually a reasonable price. Oh my god. And honestly, his hair too. I just want to steal his look. The fucking tunic. That looks so fucking good. If I could hook up with a brand like this, oh my god, I'd be over the moon. Oh, but like, look at the price on these things. Like, they're not cheap. For the boots, you're looking... I mean, these would be good quality boots. $400 and stuff. They'd be good quality boots, but, you know, you're looking at a high price. Hemlock Tank. Transcend Gender. Tops. You agree? You think we got Ivan to go hide under his rock? How are you, Sato? Welcome in. What's going on? I noticed something. I got a notification from Ivan. I'm not going to say his full name, but although I do suspect it was a fake name, but that's not the point. There was a guy harassing me on Facebook, right? What was it he posted? He posted bulge alert on one of my posts because it was like a full body selfie. And it was on a selfie where there was no visible bulge, so he was looking at my crotch and commenting on a bulge that wasn't there. Dude's got issues. Why would you comment on someone else's crotch? Weird. But I noticed I got a notification from him, and then when I went to check, the notification was strangely gone, And there were no further comments from him in the thread after I had tagged him. So I don't know what happened there. Facebook's weird. Facebook is weird, I've noticed. So they have money for you to promote? I mean, you could say so. I'd honestly like to promote Holy Clothing. They are so good. You've seen my Astra, right? You've seen my Astra robe that I've got, which is fucking cute. Holy Clothing is like the same kind of Renaissance looking gear. I've got this thing. Later. I love their stuff. I've got this. The Astra in black. I should have got it in a nice color or something. But I've got this robe. And it's so fucking adorable. And comfy. It's pretty comfy too. It's so cute. What's this? So this is ethically handmade in India. Breathable plant-based rayon fabrics are vegan. With pockets. It has pockets. I should wear this tomorrow. It's so cute. It's so cute. Although, given that we're going to do Workout Wednesdays and we're going to talk about fitness, I'll wear some fitness gear. But God, I love Holy Clothing stuff. But it's also damn expensive, dude. It's also damn expensive. Bulge, more like massive mummy milker. Well, we're trying to fund the boobies over here. Remember, folks, fund the boobs. Fund the boobs. Our current price goal is $8,008.13. They're jealous because I'm bigger than them. Us. Yes, the fuck I am. Bet you I could beat the shit out of them too. Fuck the haters. But still, be kind. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Remember, we're trying to be nice to people. We have, like, deliberated far too long on so many other topics. We forgot about the Quakers thing. Alright. Interestingly, Society of Friends redirects here. There we go. So Quakers belong to a historically Christian, Protestant set of denominations known formally as the Religious Society of Friends. Members of the various Quaker movements are generally united by a belief in the ability of each human being to experience and access the light within, or to see that of God in everyone. Some profess the priesthood of all believers, a doctrine derived from the first epistle of Peter. They include those with evangelical, holiness, liberal, and traditional Quaker understandings of Christianity. There are also non-theist Quakers whose spiritual practice is not reliant on the existence of God. To differing extents, the movements making up the Religious Society of Friends /Friends. The Religious Society of Friends/Friends. What? Avoid creeds and hierarchical structures. In 2007, there were about 359,000 adult Quakers worldwide. In 2017, there were 377,557 adult Quakers, 49% of them being in Africa. There's an interesting little factoid. Some 89% of Quakers worldwide belong to evangelical and programmed. That's scary. Branches of Quakerism, which worship in services with singing and a prepared message from the Bible, not the Bible. Coordinated by a pastor. Some 11% practice waiting worship or program like a program, not programming the people. Friends/fiends. Okay, so not programming the people. It's not a scary fash cult, don't worry. Unprogrammed worship, more commonly known today as meeting for worship, where the order of the service is not planned in advance, is predominantly silent and may include unprepared vocal ministry from those present. Some meetings of both types have recorded ministers present, friends recognized for their gift of vocal ministry. The first Quakers lived in mid-17th century England. The movement arose from the Legatine Arians, yikes, and other dissenting Protestant groups breaking away from the established Church of England. The Quakers, especially the ones known as the Valiant 60, attempted to convert others to their understanding of Christianity, traveling both throughout Great Britain and overseas, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Some of these early Quaker ministers were women. They based their message on the religious belief that Christ has come to teach his people himself, stressing the importance of a direct relationship with God through Jesus Christ and a direct religious belief in the universal priesthood of all believers. They emphasized a personal and direct religious experience of Christ acquired through both direct religious experience and the reading and studying of the Bible. Quakers focused their private lives on developing behavior and speech reflecting emotional purity and the light of God with the goal of Christian perfection. I know it's Arians, not Aryans, but still. soon as you say the word religious, I mean, so do I. I've long since drifted away from any sort of religious, like I used to be a hardcore anti-theist. I'm still anti-theist. But I used to be a hardcore, like, Le Epic Reddit atheist, and I hated religion in general. But I've long since moved on from, like, discussions around religion, and I prefer to focus my energy on stuff that's affecting us in the real world, not other people's issues, with regards to whatever their beliefs are. It's only when their religion comes into the idea of influencing policy where I have a problem. You can be an atheist and a Quaker. Yeah, there's non-theist Quakers, which is interesting. Here's an interesting one. We're not just finished yet. Hang on. In the past, Quakers were known for their use of thee as an ordinary pronoun, refusal to participate in war, plain dress, refusal to swear oaths, opposition to slavery, and teetotalism, which is the practice or promotion of complete personal abstinence from alcoholic beverages. I can't. Well, I'm out. Some Quakers founded banks and financial institutions, including Barclays, Lloyds, and Friends Provident, manufacturing companies, including alcoholism, including shoe retailer C&J Clark, and the big three British confectionery makers Cadbury, Rowntree, and Fry, and philanthropic efforts including abolition of slavery, prison reform, and social justice protests. In 1947, the Quakers, represented by the British Friends Service Council and American Friends Service Committee, were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. There you go. That should catch you up to speed on Quakerism, Religious Society of Friends. I mean, they generally sound pretty good, aside from the fact that sexual abstinence seems to be a tenet of the whole thing. But yeah, it seems you can be, a non-theistic Quaker. Overall, sounds like I would probably agree with most of these people in the grand scheme of things. Didn't know that Quakerism followed Aryan Christology. Take a look at this. Okay. Aryans go back to Roman times, if I remember. Hang on a second. Let me look something up. Is there actually a connection between Aryans and Aryans? Aryan versus Aryan, what's the difference? Aryan, a member of an alleged master race comprised of non-Jewish Caucasians, especially those of Nordic or Germanic descent. Arian, a disciple of the Egyptian monk Arius, presbyter of Alexandria, who denied the Trinity but did not deny the pre-existence of Christ. Is that correct? Are those accurate? Or is there something else there that I'm missing? Gasparian versus Gasparian. That's correct. Okay, so Arianism was a branch of Christianity. Okay. So that's a pretty stark difference there. So a master race versus a disciple of an Egyptian monk, Arius. Very unfortunate similarity, I suppose, in terms of the name. Hitlerism versus democracy. Okay, so the Friends Committee on National Legislation lobbying with Quakers. FCNL's multifaceted approach draws on the expertise of registered lobbyists in Washington, D.C., the commitment and passion of Quakers and Friends around the country in our advocacy network, and the relationships we cultivate with elected officials and community leaders. Interesting. There we go. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty pog. Seems pretty lefty, generally speaking, I would say. Hello, Nerfed Bunny. How you doing, you lovely person, you? How's it going? Well, I would answer that question, but you'd have to answer it. Because you're the baddest bitch around. That's what we call simping. Usually there's money involved there. Anyway. What else are we getting up to tonight? What else are we doing? We didn't get into Gamergate. Okay, we've got some time. We didn't talk about Gamergate. How do we feel about a Vox article about Gamergate from just this year? How do we feel about reading this? You're too old to simp. Understandable. We were going to discuss a bit of Gamergate because I didn't know what was going on with Gamergate aside from a few little references here and there. Quakers aren't free of wrongs committed. They had some residential schools. Yikes. But they are much better than a litany of other Christian sects. True. Definitely seems it. Where's your simp emote? You're okay. Super tired trying to make it through work today on 3 hours of sleep. Oh my goodness. That sounds awful. I hope you can pull through. Alright, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, there's also another neat article here, which would be really good to read. The lie of expired food and the disastrous truth of America's food waste problem. And I think Australia's got a similar thing. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Because, I mean, how do we feel about Vox? I know some people are very sketchy on Vox. But given, like, I looked at a bunch of things on Google when I searched up, like, what was Gamergate about, and stuff like that, I found a bunch of sources where I'm just, like, kind of sketchy on whether or not to trust them. I don't know. Whereas Vox is a pretty, known resource at the very least. I know they are left-leaning as far as I can tell. Some people do have a problem with them. How do you folks feel about Vox? How do you folks feel about Vosh? Still love this generation. Be yourself and fuck the haters. Absolutely. Vox generally do good reporting, a decent part of a balanced media diet. Well, there we go. So this is Zoe Quinn, who seems to be at the heart of this whole discussion. This is what we still haven't learned from Gamergate, though. Vox is good, sometimes it's lib as shit. Gamergate shouldn't have armed us against bad actors. Should have armed us against bad actors and bad faith arguments. It didn't. In the wake of the storming of the US Capitol on January 6 by Trump supporters, bystanders on social media had plenty to say about the root causes and contributing factors that may have led to this flashpoint. Among these was Gamergate, the year-long harassment campaign from 2014 to 2015 that eventually became subsumed into the greater rise of the alt-right movement online. Several viral threads posited that the far-reaching watershed movement was a crucial precursor to everything that took place in Washington, D.C. this week. Shayna Moon says, seeing some people say this in private to protect themselves, so I'll say it out loud. There is a direct line from the game industry and media's failure in addressing Gamergate to the right-wing terrorism we're seeing today. Leona Bad Molly 666 Thotsky says, Gamergate, MRAs are Trump, Proud Boys, etc. We're all canaries in the coal mine and y'all didn't pay attention or told us we were exaggerating. For those of you who don't know this analogy, canaries in the coal mine, I didn't want to click on the tweet, refers to miners used to take a canary down, and if that canary died, it would mean there were like toxic fumes or something in the mine. So the canary would die before the people would, and they would use that as a symbol to get out of the mine before it was too late, before they would suffocate. So in that circumstance, the analogy is like, here's some little hints that something's about to go sideways. Y'all didn't pay attention or told us we were exaggerating. As many have pointed out, Gamergate was by no means the beginning of the rise in extremism. The fault lies with a broad cocktail of factors ranging from centuries of racism to decades of neoconservative grassroots organizing to the rise of conservative media and online echo chambers to internet recruitment by actual white supremacists and much more. One sec. Anyway, hey, if you want to say Gamergate led this without acknowledging that GC was a symptom of... Oh, GG, sorry. I'm used to saying GC because gender criticals, which is why I was sort of wondering, like, what do gender criticals have to do with this? But gender criticals align with fascists anyway, so it all syncs up. Gamergate was a symptom of the larger systemic bigotry that has always existed, an extension of DV, that I don't know what that stands for, and the failure of online platform holders to act right. I really don't appreciate being used like that. Still, Gamergate was arguably a watershed Gamergate was arguably a watershed moment and learning experience for many future Trump supporters. As a movement, it showed the trend towards systematized online harassment and increased ideological polarization that emerged in the latter half of the 2010s. I thought domestic violence an extension of... I suppose... Yeah, maybe. Anyway, it could be. As it was happening, many members of the media were quick to dismiss it. Sparked by a single blog post published in August 2014, Gamergate was still in full swing when an editor asked me, as a reporter who covered it since the very beginning, to write a recap of it near the end of that year. The editor wanted a piece that framed the entire event in the past tense, even though the hashtag was still going strong, the women it targeted were still being harassed, and supporters were planning offline actions to take place at upcoming geek conventions, which is fucking horrifying. Soon after I recapped it, other publications wrote about Gamergate as if it were more or less over too. One writer predicted that 2015 would be the year everyone forgot about Gamergate, noting that it is still around as a Twitter hashtag and a forum topic, but the relevance is waning from its peak in the fall. That's going to keep happening. That did not keep happening, but the media's insistence that Gamergate would end helps it explain its endurance and why the movement ultimately coalesced into the larger alt-right movement that partially fueled the election of President Trump. I have spoken in the past about how Trump was probably largely elected because of memes. There was a guy who was elected, not elected, there was a guy who was running a campaign for Parliament here in Australia called, I forget his name, big fat guy, big fat multi-billionaire oil baron or whatever his name is, coal baron, I don't know, who tried to run a political campaign on memes. And he definitely got that kind of attitude that would work from Donald Trump. Like, there were so many Trump memes right before he got elected that it definitely swayed some people over. People kept talking about meme magic when he ran in 15. Yeah, exactly. So, Trump getting elected, the meme economy of Donald Trump being a meme in the first place definitely contributed to him being elected in 2016. Or late 2015, I suppose, technically. If you never really understood what Gamergate was to begin with, here's a brief refresher. This is what we want. This is what we came for. In the fall of 2014, under the premise that they were angry at unethical games journalists, a lie that persists today, thousands of people in the games community began to systemically harass, heckle, threaten, and dox several outspoken feminist women in their midst, few of whom were journalists. The harassment occurred under the social media hashtag Gamergate, which is still a hotbed of debate and anti-feminist resentment today. Never trust anyone who's an anti-feminist, by the way. They probably beat women. Harassment and misogyny had been problems in the community for years before this. The deep resentment and anger toward women that powered Gamergate percolated for years on internet forums. Robert Evans, a journalist who specializes in extremist communities and the host of the Behind the Bastards podcast, described Gamergate to me as a partly organic and partly born out of decades-long campaigns by white supremacists and extremists to recruit heavily from online forums. Yes, women should beat them. Yes, they should. Part of why Gamergate happened in the first place was because you had these people online preaching to these groups of disaffected young men, he said. But what Gamergate had that those previous movements didn't was an organized strategy made public, cloaking itself as a political movement with a flimsy philosophical stance. Its goals and targets amplified by the power of Twitter and a hashtag. Again and again throughout 2014 and afterward, and really well before that, as women in online subcultures withstood years of targeted harassment, many failed to understand and assess what Gamergate was. The media, tech platforms, the niche internet communities that these reactionaries came from, places with marginally obscure names like 4chan, 8chan, and Vote, for instance, the corporations they easily manipulated, and the general public who seemed to take it in as nebulous online noise. No one properly identified Gamergate as a major turning point for the internet. Now, hold on a second. Vote sticks out to me particularly because, if I recall correctly, one of the havens of all these kind of psychotic, toxic attitudes was fat people hate on Reddit. Do you remember fat people hate, folks? It was literally what it sounds like. They would post pictures of fat people, typically fat activists like Tess Holliday and stuff like that, and they would mock them for being fat, and they would mock them for not having the willpower to go on a diet and exercise and all this kind of shit. And that was definitely a part of this whole movement. It was definitely a part of this whole situation. Vote, V-O-A-T. And Reddit at some point cracked down on fat people hate and a bunch of other subreddits in the same vein because they were all intermingling with one another. You know, that phrase, intersectionality? A lot of these different little toxic communities all intersected with one another. And I distinctly remember that part of the reason I probably dipped out of that community, like I was sort of leaning into that alt-right, like we've mentioned in the past, I think I was definitely kind of on the cliff about to jump into the alt-right pipeline, if that makes sense. And it was subreddits like Fat People Hate and other little places where, like Tumblr in Action and other joints where they would make fun of pronouns and they would make fun of social justice warriors, people with colored hair and armpit hair and all that sort of thing. People who don't fit social norms and all of that. I'm probably one of the people that I used to laugh at on the internet. Like Vote became a place that a bunch of those subreddits migrated to when Reddit actually went out of its way to ban a whole bunch of them all at once. They outlawed a whole bunch of those subreddits all at once. And yeah, a bunch of them migrated over to Vote with varying degrees of success. I don't know. What up, Lord Nuts? How's it going? Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the porn influence reference there. There are shit tons of old people who got energized by Trump. Yes, Gamergate douches contributed, but I feel like this article is giving them too much credit. It's explaining a certain aspect of it. I think I think you're right. Like, a lot of old people definitely did get energized by Trump. A lot of old conservatives definitely got energized by Trump, certainly. However, it is important to consider the influence that Gamergate had on Trump getting elected. Anyway, the corporations they easily manipulated, and the general public who seemed to take it in as nebulous online noise. No one properly identified Gamergate as a major turning point for the internet. We already read that bit, but anyway, I'll read it again. The Hague campaign, we would later learn, was the moment when our ability to repress toxic communities and write them off as just trolls began to crumble. You're welcome. Gamergate ultimately gave way to something deeper, more violent, and more uncontrollable. It's tempting to wonder if we could have stopped Gamergate before it happened, in the years before it coalesced into a systematized movement. Perhaps we could have quashed these kernels of hate with better forum moderation, more serious attention to the problem of misogynistic harassment, and less reliance on the long-standing twin internet wisdoms of prioritizing free speech and starving a troll until they go away. In truth, by the time Gamergate had begun, it was probably already unstoppable, but our inability to learn any lessons from it is what allowed it to scale all the way to the White House. So yeah, like, this is the thing. I do have this stance of, like, we should prioritize social free speech. But there are some people who've got weird ideas about free speech. And I do not believe, like I mentioned before on Twitter earlier, that the whole starving a troll mindset, pay no attention to them and they'll go away sort of thing. What did I post? Let me see what I posted so I can clarify. I said specifically... Fucking hell, where is it? I can't see it now. Don't feed the trolls is victim blaming, right? So if we don't address the trolls, if we don't try to shut the trolls down, then, like, yeah, you are victim blaming somebody by saying don't feed the trolls, you know, just ignore them, they'll go away. But they don't. They don't. Free speech, not free of repercussion, exactly, yeah. So that's the thing, right? It's like, I agree with the idea of social free speech, and, like, governmental free speech. But those are different concepts. It's important to note that those are two distinct concepts. Like, constitutional free speech refers specifically to commenting on the actions of the government, and the government cannot oppress you for that. Social free speech is you can technically say anything, but if you can say anything, I can say anything. And I'm allowed to rebuke your points, and an entire crowd of people is allowed to rebuke your points as well. Anyway, in truth, yeah, we read that bit. 7 years later, here's a look at some of the lessons we still need to learn from Gamergate in order to keep its victims safe and to keep the next decade from producing a movement that's even worse. And I was in Riverboat Jack's stream earlier, and it's honestly kind of scary, the idea that Trump may run again in 2024, get in, and he's going to go even more fash than before. Absolutely. Let's hope he carks it before then. The tolerance of the intolerant is the end of tolerance. Yeah, the tolerance, what is it? The tolerance paradox is worth bringing up in this discussion. The paradox of tolerance. This little comic here is worth noting. Can I just, like, look at the picture? Should a tolerant society tolerate intolerance? You want more tolerance, respect my ideas. The answer is no. It's a paradox, but unlimited tolerance can lead to the extinction of tolerance. When we extend tolerance to those who are openly intolerant, let's give them a chance. The tolerant ones end up being destroyed, and tolerance with them. Any movement that preaches intolerance and persecution must be outside of the law. As paradoxical as it may seem, defending tolerance requires to not tolerate the intolerant. That's a whole mess of words. But I think you get the idea. Right? You know, this is the situation that especially America is in right now. By respecting the ideas of free speech, technically speaking, we are seeing a much greater rise in fascistic, literal neo-Nazi ideology. There are people out there who are openly white supremacist, openly nationalist. And yes, I fully believe nationalism is a bad thing. You know. I think nationalism just leads to those supremacist and fascist attitudes. And yes, Donald Trump absolutely is a fascist, and yes, those that follow him are absolutely fascists. We can tell that by looking at the actions of those who proudly wear red hats, who will proudly put a Trump sticker on their utes and all that kind of nonsense. It has gotten to the point where people who follow Donald Trump are absolutely staunchly in favor of removing the undesirables. They are expressing genocidal attitudes. They are literal Nazis. A ute, a truck. Sorry, Aussie slang. A ute, one of these things. A work truck. A pickup, that's a good, yeah, pickup. One of these things. We call them a ute here in Australia. Here in Australia, mate. What is that, my John Howard? What is that accent? What is that voice? Anyway. Police have to learn how to keep the rest of us safe from internet mobs. At the time Gamergate began, the question of how and when law enforcement should step in to deal with online harassment was a burning one, as multiple women reported to being threatened and doxxed out of their homes. Among them was Zoe Quinn, the game developer who became Gamergate's target zero after an ex-boyfriend wrote a blog post accusing her of entering an unethical romantic relationship with the reporter Nathan Grayson of the gaming news site Kotaku. To that blog post's target audience of disgruntled gamers, the alleged infidelity rendered Quinn the poster child of hypocritical feminism and Kotaku the emblem of unethical journalism in the eyes of Gamergaters. Yeah, utility truck is what it means. Yes, literal Nazis, actual Nazis. Some of them flying flying swastikas. Some of them are going out of their way to display swastikas and the Iron Eagle or whatever the fuck it was and other Nazi imagery. Which is why, honestly, even if he didn't understand the meme, that's why it's so bad that fucking Aussie chef dickhead posted that meme that had the MAGA hat and then the butterfly. I've got the meme here. Let me get it for you. I've got it saved on my computer-y thing. The thing about what's his name? What's his fucking name? Not Eric Bischoff. I can't find it now. I swear, like, most of my images from my cancelled video have been deleted for some reason, but you know who I mean. The Australian celebrity chef who posted the meme that had Nazi imagery in it. It had this in it. It had a Sonnenrad in it. Right? I can't believe I can't find it. Anyway. That's why, like, we need to be very, very cautious about those things. We need to push... Yeah, the vegan guy. Or, like, the... Was he vegan? I don't think he's necessarily vegan. I think he might be, like, keto or something. I can't remember. Pete Evans. That's it. Pete Evans. Yeah, that chef. He looks like he's halfway dead. Honestly, every picture I've seen of Pete Evans, he doesn't look like a healthy man. I would not take health advice from this dude. He does not look healthy. He looks like he's on some kind of crack, overlaid with plastic surgery to try to keep him youthful. He doesn't look good. I'm not gonna lie, he looks like he's in bad shape. Anyway. Just looks like a Nazi. He does. And this is the meme. An oldie but a goodie. You've changed, says the MAGA hat. We're supposed to, says the butterfly with the Nazi symbol on it. Even if he didn't realize he was posting a Nazi meme, he shouldn't have posted it in the first place because it became a dog whistle to people among his audience that would have been Nazi fans. Funny thing is, your parents being the Trump supporters they are, whoever you have any conversation with them, and you remove the terms of left and right, they agree with your ideals. Don't know why as soon as a political side is mentioned, those ideals are no longer appealing. It's practically brainwashing. You're absolutely right. There was a video I think we watched on stream a little while back where somebody approached a group of older Trump supporters and they discussed with them a bunch of socialist policies, removing political lingo from the discussion. They said, you know, would you be in favor of universal health care? But they didn't call it universal health care. They were talking about socialized housing, but they didn't talk about socialized housing. Like, they used a bunch of clever language to say, would you agree with these ideas? Would you agree with these political changes? And they agreed with all of them. But the moment you add the the moment you say anything about socialism, the moment you say about, I don't know, like the moment you bring in that political language into the discussion, all of a sudden their attitudes change. And they flip on a dime. It's ridiculous. 5 states are re-looking into the voting. They found 15,000 of voting ballots are from dead people. For Trump, Swiftie, or for Biden? I doubt it would be for Biden, honestly, because I think there was already evidence suggesting, and this is what's so hilarious about Trump doing his little investigation into all the other states, is like, I'm pretty sure they found that there were a bunch of Trump ballots that were from either dead people or fake people. You know, there was interference in that election, and Trump is investigating that interference in the election, but all the interference was on his side. People keep trying to tell you politics and morality are separate, but they really aren't. They're not. They're not. This is why when we say, like, video games are political, for example, we're not just referring to, like, we're not saying that a video game that was just released is trying to push a distinct political message for a certain party, right? What we're saying is there are political notions that can be drawn from a video game. Anyway, yeah, all the election fraud was in favor of Trump. It was. Any video game. You can pick any video game you want, and you can find some kind of political message in it. Because politics is embedded in everything that we do. You know, this is, again, why you can't separate politics and morality. Somebody did have a good take on how Tetris is a political game. Unironically. I can't remember what it was. Something about Russia. I think it was something about Soviet Russia. Yeah, he was the president. Why didn't he rig it in his favor, right? Yeah, some games are obviously... some games are very, very obviously political, like Metal Gear Solid. Dishonored is one that comes to mind. Obviously, Call of Duty. There's a ton of games out there that are very, very blatant in their political ideas. What politics are in Kirby? I haven't played Kirby, so I can't speak to that. But once you understand different political ideas, you start to notice those political ideas. Like I've mentioned before, Dark Souls is an anti-capitalist narrative. Or it can be a pro-capitalist narrative. Infamous was pretty political, yeah. You know, there's a ton of games. You could pick anything. You could literally pick anything. Even Pong. Where were we? So, cyberstalking and revenge porn were also major issues that have been around for years, but gained new prominence in 2014 as Celebgate saw celebrities like Jennifer Lawrence and Kim Kardashian joining the countless women who've had private photos circulated online without their consent. I'm pretty sure Zelda is very prominently political, actually. From what I haven't played Zelda, keep in mind. I haven't played any of the Zelda games, but from what I've heard throughout the entire series going back to the original, they've always had pretty heavy themes in their games which always reach into the political. And it can be shallow or it can be very deep, like Skyrim is a game that has a ton of political messages in it, but it's very shallow messaging, honestly. Anyway, today, however, the justice system continues to be slow to understand the link between online harassment and real-life violence. This is what fucking scares me. What actually legitimately scares me is that I may face online harassment that may lead to real-life violence. Genuinely. It is a fear of mine that someday I may face harassment online that might lead to someone trying to attack me IRL. Which would mean I would be scared of doing IRL streams in the first place, unless I had a big squad of friends with me. Although the Violence Against Women Act made cyberstalking illegal in 2006, yeah, because that works. And although 1 in 4 young women report being stalked or sexually harassed online, women frequently have difficulty getting law enforcement to take online harassment seriously, especially the veiled kind that's intimidating but not overtly violent or hateful. This is what's tricky about reporting things online too. A lot of these trolls on the internet have figured out how to word their messages in such a way that you can report them and the report will come back to you saying, we didn't find anything hateful in that message. We didn't find anything especially violent or whatever in that message. And it's like, it's total bullshit. I can read between the lines. Why can the staff behind these social media sites not read between the lines? Rogue Witch, I'm still going to call out your name anytime I see it. I fucking love it. How you doing? Welcome back in. Big Ben Shapiro, why did no one say they'd make crime illegal? There are more on-the-books laws about online harassment now and more prosecutions, but police are often untrained and undereducated regarding what type of behavior constitutes harassment, how to legally counter such behavior, and what should be investigated. Frequently, people who report harassment are left unsatisfied with the response. Shocker. A while back, a police officer told me that officers in his department had never heard of Twitter, let alone other social media platforms and more niche websites. Evans told Vox that while he believes people in positions of power in government and law enforcement take internet threats much more seriously, the change has yet to fully trickle down. That's because trickle down never works, you fucking dickheads. When I started receiving death threats earlier this year after I was on a documentary about 8chan's politics board, he said in an interview in 2019, I went to the West Los Angeles Police Department with pictures of this bounty on my head and photoshopped images of me with a bullet in my head. I had to try to explain what was going on to them, and they had never heard of the website, didn't seem to really understand that an online threat was a serious thing, and I spent most of my time with the police trying to explain Bitcoin to a bunch of 50-year-old Los Angeles police officers. Oh, fuck. I honestly, Link is honestly gender goals. I haven't even played the series, and Link is honestly gender goals. Gender presentation goals. Perfect androgynous, kind of, yeah. Anyway. I would have expected as much in 2014 when Gamergate was first in the news, because many social media platforms were still niche enough that you might not expect law enforcement to be familiar with them or their communities. Hearing it years later was an eye-opening moment, but it's a stark reminder that we still have a long way to go to protect the general population, and women in particular, from violence online and off. I think they have very slowly, far too slowly, learned certain things that are valuable. Hang on, I'll scroll up a little bit. Evans said, they do now take online threats of school and mass shootings more seriously, so I am seeing things get better, but not nearly as quickly as I thought. Or as it ought, sorry. I read that wrong. To increase public safety this decade, it is imperative that police and everyone else become more familiar with the kinds of communities that engender toxic, militant systems of harassment and the online and offline spaces where these communities exist. Increasingly, that means understanding social media's dark corners and the types of extremism they can foster. A link to the past, pink hair link. States are relooking is Georgia, Arizona, Texas, Florida, Michigan. Find out 5,000 people died to vote for Biden, so they're throwing them out. There was a 5 million vote difference between Biden and Trump. If they're finding 5,000 dead people voted for Biden, that's nothing. That doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Are they going to find 6 million dead people voted for Biden? Even then, it's not going to change anything. That's a non-issue, honestly. We know voter fraud is a thing that happens, but there was a 5 million vote disparity. I'm pretty sure Biden legitimately won, whether you support him or not. It's a silly thing to the whole discussion around counting the vote, around recounting the vote, demand a recount, right? All of that kind of shit is just to throw a spanner in the works and to question democracy at its core. That's all this is about. He won the zombie vote. Zombies have voting rights, okay? And this is the thing that annoys the fucking shit out of me, that people are not seeing. Trump's demand to recount the vote is a fascist manipulation tactic. He's trying to undermine democracy. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. That's all his entire business goal. And yes, it is a business goal. I'm not just reading business off the screen there. But I mean, he is a shady businessman. How anybody could look at Donald Trump and think he is a legitimate politician baffles me and terrifies me. That people can look at a guy whose entire ideology with regards to business has been be like a dodgy used car salesman. One of his particular social interaction tactics to intimidate people was to do that when you go to shake someone's hands, yank him in. He's not a good person, and he's only gotten worse. Do not give Trump any benefit of the doubt. Do not trust him. He's insane. Alright? Don't take anything he or his followers are saying or doing at face value. They do not have your best interests at heart. Trump supporters are fascists. They are Nazis, and they will do everything they can to undermine democracy, whether you agree with democracy or not. Okay? Don't give him the benefit of the doubt of, a few thousand people who were dead voted for Biden. Don't give him the benefit of the doubt there. Do not. Do not consider Donald Trump in any way morally in the right. He is unequivocally an evil person who manufactured What's it called? What's the term? It manufactured an insurrection on the Capitol building. Right? Do not give him the benefit of the doubt. You know how con man used to mean confidence man? Now it means conservative man. Anyway, same thing. Moving on. One of the strangest side effects of Gamergate, by the way, we're well over my usual ending time, but we're going to keep going because I want to read the rest of this. This is good to get into, honestly. One of the strangest side effects of Gamergate was its effectiveness at convincing corporations to stop advertising on media outlets it targeted as part of its ethics in journalism motto. Among the corporations that dropped advertising from various publications as a result of Gamergate petitions were Adobe, Mercedes-Benz, and Intel, the latter of which said it had no idea what online politics it had waded into. Mercedes also later realized its mistake and restored advertising. But despite wide discussion within the gaming community and the media about Gamergate's manipulative tactics when it was drawing peak media attention, it seems that many corporations and other businesses failed to grasp a vital takeaway from these incidents, that it's crucial to understand how, when, and why an online mob is expressing outrage before you decide how to respond to it. Gamergate should have taught its businesses that online mobs can and do look for excuses to be outraged as a pretext to harass and abuse their targets. And I'm gonna say a centristy thing. This is true of lefties as well. Just throwing that out there. There's a difference between organic outrage that arises because an employee actually does something outrageous and invented outrage that's an excuse to harass someone whom a group has already decided to target for unrelated reasons. For instance, because an employee is a feminist. A responsible business would ideally figure out which type of outrage is occurring before it pushed a client or employee who was just doing their job. Instead, companies have continued to fall for the manufactured outrage playbook Gamergate and its online heirs created, often blaming employees who are dealing with their harassment rather than blaming the people doing the harassing. In 2016, Gamergate brutally harassed a Nintendo employee, targeting her on social media, unearthing her old writing in order to accuse her of pedophilia and vilifying her to her employer. Instead of protecting the employee from the onslaught of misogynistic abuse, Nintendo responded by firing her. In 2018, game developer ArenaNet fired 2 of its employees after their responses to what they saw as Twitter harassment sparked major backlash from gamers, prompting the company president to blame the employees for reacting to the community with hostility. In both cases, the employees framed the employees' outspoken response to prolonged and intense harassment as a liability. Also in 2018, Marvel fired popular writer Chuck Wendig over reactionary outrage that was literally manufactured. Most of it was generated by bots rather than people. And in reaction to what was perhaps the most effective manufactured outrage of all, Disney fired James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He's back on it now as far as I'm aware, after a harassment campaign straight out of the Gamergate playbook, stripping past tweets of their context to generate contrived backlash. While Disney nearly a year later ultimately acknowledged it had made a mistake and rehired Gunn, it's a familiar note in an exhausting, repetitive, and crucially easily avoidable cycle that companies have yet to learn how to sidestep. This cycle is frustrating, and it's the fault of corporations' failure to understand whether an internet mob's outrage is hyperbolic, and a larger cultural failure to understand and deal with the way these mobs also spread violence, online and off. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Let me just take a second to take some breath in. Really gives you a sense of security within that company. Love how the response to someone being attacked is to fire the person being attacked. Yeah, exactly. Don't trust the companies you work for, honestly. This could happen to you. And I'm like, that sounds like cancel culture rhetoric, which it is, in its own way. But this is the thing, the people who are generally saying this kind of thing, who are generally feeding into the cancel culture nonsense, are people who are gonna be fine anyway. But, anywho, neither here nor there. We should come back to this. I'm going to bookmark this, and we can do some more of this later. I think we're going to raid somebody, because I've been going for 3 hours and a bit. Where were we? Where can I put this? I don't know. Learning. Save it in learning. We'll come back to this because, yeah, there's a lot here. It's a very, very big article that I wasn't expecting to be so long. We're 10 minutes over time. Can you suggest a raid? What have you got for me? Let me see. I want to see who I've got available at the moment. Oh, actually, no, you can't. Because I have someone we're going to raid instead. So, stuff it. We're gonna raid Casey Explosion because she came up earlier. We're gonna raid Casey Explosion. Sloth Mom. Yeah, we're gonna raid Sloth Mom. There we go. I never see Casey live, so we're gonna raid Casey. Oh, anyway. Raid Shadow Legends, I wish. Here's the last flex for you. Tomorrow is arm day. Tomorrow's biceps, triceps. Oh, you gotta be a moderator. Hang on. There we go. There's a raid message for you. Just copy and paste this into the raid targets chat. Rogue raid and say hello. Say hello. Say hello. Remember, folks, remember the motto. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Don't be an asshole. In Casey's chat. I don't approve of that. Be kind. It's plastered across my tits, however small they may be. Enjoy that one. And I've got nothing else to say, really. Not a whole lot else to say. We will be live tomorrow. We are going to do Workout Wednesdays. We are going to talk about the guns. We are going to talk about fitness. We are going to talk about diet and all that kind of thing. And we could do something else too. We could wrap up the Gamergate thing because there's a lot there. Holy shit. Itty bitty titty committee. They're cute though. Like they're kind of cute though. Can titties be cute? It's a shame I can't show you my titties. Buy me bigger ones though. Anyway, thanks folks. I'll see you when I'm looking at you. I love your faces. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Good night. Ta-ta. Be good.